Welcome back to the Talk and Chatter Experience powered by Gasoline Alley Harley Davidson. Today's show, we've got Hughan Seary, the man that dons the white overalls twice a year at the Dust Hustle events, amongst many other things. Welcome, mate.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Who are you?
Well, that's an excellent question. I would probably class myself as an average Joe, I guess, into anything with wheels and motors and that kind of stuff. The online and marketing manager at Ellerspeed. We also run the Dust Hustle events, which is where my white overall wearing comes in into picture. But other than that, just a bike and car enthusiast, I guess. Love riding, not particularly good at it, but just love it and love connecting, I guess, with other legends. So bringing sort of people together is a bit of a highlight for me.
Where did that automotive thing come in?
I don't know, actually. I think just when I was younger, I sort of was into cars. My family's not specifically into cars or anything like that. So, it was just something that I always just loved cars, I guess, when I was younger and always rode a BMX bike when I was younger. So it was just the cars and bikes thing, but it was mainly more cars. And then sort of probably as I got a little bit older, when I got into motorbikes because I hated pedaling up hills.
Really?
So I was like, how good, when I was riding my BMX around all the time, I was like, how good would a motorbike be? Like, ride up a hill, burn down the other side, that was literally, I was lazy. I was just like...
So that was your thing, that got you there, was a motorbike because of that?
Because of BMX, just from riding around as a kid. And I was always out, like after school, we'd, a bunch of mates in the local suburb, we'd all be riding around everywhere. So I didn't have motorbikes as a young kid or anything like that. My cousin had a motorbike that lived in Cairns, and I guess a combination of wanting to not pedal up hills and just thought they were cool. And then whenever we'd go up there on holidays, because by this stage we were back in Brisbane. I lived in Cairns for 12 months when I was younger, but had circled all the way back around, and we were back in Brisbane by this stage when I was about 8 or 9 or something.
Yeah, right.
And we'd go up there, and that was sort of my closest I guess engagement with motorbikes when I was younger was bikes that he had. So yes, that sort of got me into it, I guess. And then because we were just living in the suburbs, didn't necessarily have anywhere to ride and all that kind of stuff. I wanted one for ages, but it was like, where are you going to ride it? And I guess we weren't overflowing with cash, so it was like. You can't have everything, so which I think was good. But then got to a point where, I think one day, after many years of pestering, Dad was like, all right, you can get a motorbike. And it was like, yes, it was like the best day of my life. But then he was like, but you got to pay for it yourself.
Oh,
so
damn.
Going crashing down again after that. Wow. So that was around like when I was like 13 or 14. So it was like, all right, start doing jobs, start saving, saved up. And then, when I was like 14, late 14 or 15, I bought my first bike with money I'd saved up.
What was that?
A big wheel KX80, 1993.
Jeez, I'd love to have that now.
Yeah, me too.
That'd be a weapon.
So, and pretty much I wanted a KX because my cousin, when we were going up there, he had KXs as well. This was a few years later than that now.
Yep.
Obviously, I bought a second-hand one, but a few years earlier, he had like a brand new 94 KX125, which still to this day I think are the best graphics ever on a dirt bike, and like I will own one of those at some stage.
They are that KX125, KX250.
250, that era, anything in the early mid-90s.
Maybe not an RM.
Oh, the RMs had that sick leopard print. It's probably one of the only Suzukis I'd own, but we'll get into that later.
For sure. Mate, KX80 though, KX80, 93, 94, 95, big wheel bikes. Beautiful machines. So
good. Because I was sort of at that stage where I was like 14, 15, I was in between 80 and a 125. Yep. And obviously I hadn't done much riding, and KX100s were like unobtainable at that point in time. They did a KX100 for a while. That was sort of in between, but then they still did a big wheel 80 for some reason. They just were churning out models.
That's a killer first bike.
It was awesome. Like it was a few years old by that stage. This would have been like 90, I I don't know, 98 or something,
Yep.
99. No, after that even. So I was a few years old, but it was still epic. Like I thought it was the fastest thing ever, and I was just going to ride that thing for the rest of my life. And that was sort of, I was into, like I got that 2-stroke bike because at that stage, that's, no one was riding like farm bikes or 4-strokes or whatever. It was just like if you were a little kid, you wanted a little 2-stroke race bike. And my mate, Sam, one of my best mates, still mate to this day, like taught all of us mates at school to ride essentially because he lived in the suburb and was the only one with a bit of property, and he's just the biggest legend in the whole world and just would invite us all over and let us ride all these bikes. He essentially taught me to ride, and he had a YZ125 and he was shorter than me, so I don't even know how he used to ride that thing, but I was like, getting a 2-stroke, and then it wasn't going to be a Yamaha because I, loved Kawasaki's from an early age. So
wow. And where was this at? Where's the suburb for this?
This is at the Gap in Brisbane.
At the Gap.
Yeah.
So you're riding KX80s and YZ125s around the Gap.
Around the Gap. We were most of the time we were at his place, and then like every now and then you might venture out when you're at night time, but most of the time we stayed there.
Yeah.
And then and that's the thing, like probably at that stage, like, it's just me and my dad and my sister. So we'd try and con dad into taking a few of us kids riding at like a proper bike park. That might happen like once a month. So you'd be flat out like being able to ride the thing, properly like 12 times a year, if you were lucky, if parents could take us, take us all. So, but we were just stoked to just have motorbikes because, we were like suburban kids, so no one really had motorbikes. So we were just lucky to have them at all, granted whether they were paid from ourselves or not. So
that's really cool. What was a ride park that would have been open then? Are you talking, was Black Duck Valley open then?
Black Duck, yeah.
It would have been just at the start, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if
many a collarbone have been thrown away there.
Yeah, luckily not mine. Black Duck definitely was. I don't know if... I was so young, I didn't know. Like, we'd just be like, take us riding, and then all of a sudden you'd drive for a few hours and you'd show up somewhere and you'd pay, a bit of money out of your savings little money box and you'd go riding. So I had no idea where it was. You
just go somewhere.
Just go somewhere, yeah. You didn't... you couldn't really, like... research places like you can these days, I guess. Like the parents had to look it up, or you'd be lucky you'd see stuff in a magazine and be like, oh, we want to go to. You'd see the little ad in the back of the magazine or something.
That's right. Australian Dirt Bike and that used to always have like a little
ads for the places. So that's pretty much how you found out about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Back then, and then you just furiously chat about it on MSN for weeks or
ICQ.
Or and just hassle your parents until someone's parents would take you. So the KX80 was the first bike and probably started my love for
passion.
Green machines.
How long did you keep that for?
I probably had that for maybe 3 or 4 years, like a fair while. Like because I didn't really like grow out of it. Well, I sort of grew out of it height wise, but I didn't really grow out of it skills wise because. I never really rode bikes as a kid, so it was like even just that was more than enough for my skills wise to be able to ride around them for like quite a few years. And I wasn't racing, like I was never a racer. So it was just putting around on that thing and just.
You'd still hop. I think anyone would still hop on a KX60 or KX80 and just be thrown back by how fast they really are. They're for kids. They're lethal.
They're zippy, especially that era because it was like you could have taken the throttle off and just put a light switch on there because it was like on or off. There was nothing in between. So you learn a lot about power delivery and the wheelbase was so short and probably worse when you're an adult now because you get on it, you sit on the rear guard.
That's right.
And then you snap it on and the wheelbase is about 12 inches long.
It's a real funny thing. Like everyone remembers their first motorcycle ride, I feel.
Yeah.
And they always remember the craziest sort of, like for me, I think it was about 9 or 10, and I got to ride a KX60.
Yep.
And
Death Machine.
Yeah, just Death Machine. I was just like, wow, this is awesome, and this is a kid's toy.
Yeah.
Not toy, but I still think to this day, if I could fit on the damn thing, I think that it'd still be just as scary.
Yeah, it would.
Because I see the kids at like North Brizzy and that.
Yeah.
Hey, they hook on them. Like they're faster than a lot of people riding 350s and 500s.
Oh, if I went to a proper dirt track or motocross track, I've got no doubt kids on 60s would smoke me.
Oh, yeah, same here. Anywhere I go. That's funny. So what was after that? Did you keep riding, or did you have a bit of a hiatus?
Well, after that, I was getting close to starting to save up for a car, and there were other bikes in there, but I necessarily didn't have to own them, which worked out well because we had a few mates that had bikes. There was a sort of a group CR125 that was floating around for a while from another mate of ours, so that got ridden a lot, and then there was bikes getting borrowed here, there, and everywhere. So there was always a few bikes around after I sold that, and then it was getting to the point where I think, because I'd always been really into cars, I sort of was like, okay, and I knew I had to pay for it myself. It's getting to that point where I'm like, I want to get my license straight away. I need to start saving for a car. So
you got into cars, like obviously as soon as you could get your license, you were onto it.
And I was born in February, so I was like one of the first kids in our grade at school to have a license and be driving to school.
Good feeling.
Yeah.
What date are you? I'm 10.
20th of Feb.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because I was the same grade 12.
Yeah.
First week of grade 12, you get your license.
Yeah.
It's it's the first sign of freedom.
It is,
So, first sign of wagging.
That's right. Yeah. And when you're like, I was at school, like I think like I was probably a late bloomer.
Yeah.
And so I probably wasn't the biggest year 12 kid. So it was like I wasn't playing in the rugby team. I wasn't like, I think I played soccer for years and years and years, but I finished that in year 11. So getting a car first was like, yes, I get some cred back.
Yeah.
I get some cred back. Yeah. So that was cool.
What was the car?
I looked at all these absolute pieces of junk, and at that time my dad was riding Jags. He had a few old Jags, so he'd bought this 71 XJ6. Well, he actually had a Series 2, which I think was a 74, which was like the one that was his one. It was really nice, but he had an issue with the motor in it, so he bought this 71 XJ6, pulled the motor out of it, put it in his, and then just had this. We had this shell there, and he was just going to obviously turf the shell, took all the good bits off it, and it was getting to a point where I was starting to look around at cars, and he was like, "Look, you can go and buy some little buzz box, or you can buy this off me. You can buy the rolling shell, and we'll go down to my mechanic, and he'll tell you how much it'll cost to put a motor in it." So I was like, so we went and did that, and I think it was like $4,500 I paid for this rolling shell XJ6.
And you got a Jaguar as your first car.
With a motor in it, with a running straight six in it.
Yeah.
With twin SU carbs and all this.
Very cool car.
Yeah.
Really cool car.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So that was my first car, was this 71 XJ6.
Oh, mate. Imagine the trips in that.
I tell you what, there were some trips in it, but at that stage, so driving that to school, best thing ever. But then I realised that I had to maintain this image now as like, this little dweeb legend driving this Jag. Well, that's what I thought. And then I really quickly realised that a 2-ton Jag with a 3-speed auto gearbox was just punishing on the fuel bill. And I was working about 8 hours a week at Bunnings by that stage. So literally it would, Bunnings might as well have transferred my pay straight to Mobil or whoever would have served.
At least 6 to 7 hours of that 8 hours.
Yeah,
was
literally
just for fuel.
Going to that. And I think the other hour was probably just my lunch on that shift or driving the car to the shift to pay for the fuel to then just drive around.
Because they're always known as a thirsty, great car. Great car? Is a great car a good term to describe a Jaguar?
Everything was great about it except for the English Lucas electrics.
Electrics, right. They had a few oil leak sort of things every now and then.
They had anything English, I think. It was part and parcel. Yeah, but so comfy to drive. Like I got spoilt with that thing. Like pile all the mates in, and you drive to the coast, and the power steering on it, you would just like one finger on the highway, just like, just steering this thing, and it would just cruise.
That's awesome, and everyone would have felt like royalty.
Yeah.
All your mates sitting in it, they would have literally felt like the royal family.
Just a carload of little turds thinking they were way better than they were.
Elitists.
The only problem is it wasn't, when you're that age, you want to be chopping your mates all the time. And it was slow. It was real slow.
Really?
Yeah, it's just too heavy.
Yeah, a couple of ton. You got a couple of ton and obviously nearly 30 years old even at that point.
Yeah.
Things are going to deteriorate a bit.
Yeah, that was 02, 03 I graduated, so...
Yeah, right. What'd you...
Yeah,
okay.
Graduated school.
So what'd you do after that? So you went for the car scene for a while, hey?
So, actually, before I even got that, that's where my sort of love for Japanese... Like, I was already into Japanese bikes, because everyone was... But that's where sort of around that same time is where my love of Japanese car and Japanese car culture and that sort of started, because we'd all go into the library at lunchtime at school and watch videos, and then all of a sudden this one video popped up and it was about drifting, and I had no idea what that was.
Yeah, right.
Just watched it, and it was like a combination of, like, I'm sure everyone's seen this video. It was like a combination of like people drifting four-wheel drives in the snow, but spliced throughout that there was a couple of actual Japanese sections with Japanese cars, and I think I liked obviously the look of what they were doing, like the driving just looked out of control, but it also had this style about it. And then like the aesthetic of the cars, like the look, you could tell straight away that was a Japanese car that had been done in like a Japanese style of modification. Like, but I didn't know that that's what I liked. I just sort of, you'd see it and I'd be like, oh, I like that. I didn't specifically know it was. Yeah. So that was sort of brewing in the background while I had this Jag. And I actually did like a few weddings and stuff with it. So like, you know, I was
with that car,
with that Jag. Yeah. So I finished school and I started picking up like some odd jobs doing like weddings. So it'd be like me and then like this 70-year-old guy, like some random who also had like a Jag, or he had like a Daimler or whatever else. And we'd be hanging out at the wedding. We looked like father and grandson, but they were just like always just randoms. And then, yeah, so the this sort of Jag thing happened, and then I was still like, oh, you know, the Japanese sort of culture, I guess, was sort of, the interest in that was growing a lot. So I was sort of starting to move towards that, and then starting to, save money to try and buy a Japanese car after that.
And what'd you get?
I bought a Holden Kingswood.
Yeah, very Japanese.
So when I was on this path to buy this Japanese car, it got derailed because one of my dad's mates had started doing up this Kingswood, this HZ, this 77, and I was stepping stones because he'd put a Japanese motor in it. So he put a 1J in this thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, all right, sweet, turbo Kingswood. This is going to be good. And this was like at a price where it was like half of what I wanted to buy a 180 SX at the time.
So what were they? They were a Supra motor, is that right?
The 1J was a Supra Sora. Yeah, the 1J was the Sora and the 2J was the Supra.
Supra motor.
Yep. So this one had a 1J in it, 2.5 litre straight six.
Awesome motor.
Twin turbo. Yeah, really good. Still good to this day.
For sure.
Already converted to single turbo. Had been driving it around, and then...
so this is your second car?
Yeah, pulled it all apart. Yeah. And same thing as the first one. Like, I came to the party at this stage where here's this car. It's been sort of half stripped. You can buy it as a project and finish it off. It was at the right price. So I thought this will be a great little interim project until I save enough to buy the Japanese, buy the drift car. Bought this Kingswood, finished that off, did a bunch of interior stuff, and it had no wiring and no computer and all this sort of other stuff. Yeah, right. So I went through all that rigmarole and got that thing on the road. That was a really fun car because from the outside it was stock body. It had 14s on it. It had like a 3-inch exhaust that was tucked right up near the diff, so you couldn't see it. And it had, it was just, and it sounded like a really smooth 202.
Wow.
Until
it boost.
It got on boost. It had an external gate screamer pipe. So until all that stuff started happening. That's a tough street car. It was good because it was still on 14s. So that was probably when I started to enjoy doing skids. Like, it wouldn't do a good skid around a corner, but it would do a good power skid. Yeah. Because it had like a R154 manual box, and it had this big one-piece tail shaft, and it had a forward 9-inch diff and all this other cool junk.
Built well. That's a good package.
It was so solid. This thing would do, and it was still on 14s, so it would just peel 14s all day long. Wow. So that was another big, heavy car, though. I got to a point where I was starting to do skids in it, and then legal ones.
Of course.
And then was like, let's go drag racing, because you want to sort of see what it's like and see what you can really, because you can't really do anything on the street. Started doing like test and tunes in it, and that was fun. And I did a few skid pan days in it as well.
Was that good fun?
No, well, the test and tunes were first.
Yeah.
That was fun, but then I got to a point where I started braking stuff. Like you get to that point where you're like as fast as this thing can go, and you're just literally just thrashing the thing.
Yep.
And I just couldn't get it off the line because it had like a button clutch. So like horrible setup for drag racing. Button clutch, heavy springs in the back because it had a tow bar on it at one stage in its life.
Yeah, right. Yep.
So it wouldn't squat, and it had 14s.
Yep.
And it had a 6-cylinder turbo that now had a single on it by this stage. So it was like, wouldn't go anywhere, or if it was on boost when you launched, it'd just spin the tyres first, second,
Just
third.
sitting on the surface. It wouldn't actually hook down or nothing like that.
No.
Yeah, right.
So, and then I got to this point where I just started just trying to do big burnouts in and out the drag strip, and like fused the, like the clutch to the flywheel, and it broke both engine mounts and started to mess things up.
Yep.
So by that stage I was like, all right, I'm not a drag racer anymore.
Yep.
I need to get back into this drifting thing. That was still, so I was like, I'll drift to Kingswood for a bit until I get this other one. So I went to I looked on the forums, as you do back in that stage. I think I was like looking around. I thought I'll do a wet skid pan first rather than just tip myself in the deep end. Trying to grip this thing because the handbrake was non-existent.
Yeah.
So I went and I drove it up to Gympie and did a wet skid pan day with like Skylines Australia or something. So it was me and my cousin. I dragged him out so I wouldn't be embarrassed by myself.
Yep.
And he was in like an auto EA Falcon or something. Mikey, the absolute legend.
Yeah.
We went up there and there was just us two absolute idiots that could not drive, and all these dudes in like R33s, which were pretty hot at that time, and V35 Skylines, and we just pretty much embarrassed ourselves and then drove home. And after that, I was like, all right,
sold.
Get something appropriate, get yourself. But it worked out well because by that stage, I'd saved up enough money that I was in the market for like a 180 or a 200 SX. I'd saved enough. So it sort of really opened my pool up because the 180s were a bit older, even at that stage. And I just wanted a stock one. And they were getting harder and harder to find then. So this was like...
Let alone now.
Oh, you could not find a
now.
stock one now. It'd be not impossible. So, so then, and just... searched around for a while and then eventually finally bought a S14 200 SX.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Wow. They're a machine too.
Yeah, so that was an awesome car. Just stock, literally the only thing that was modified was it had a head unit.
What were they, SR20 or CA?
SR20.
It was SR20.
Yeah, SR20 right. Manual.
Yeah.
And I literally had that for over 10 years, only sold it like 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that the purple one?
The purple.
So you had that the whole time?
The Shiraz, baby, yeah.
So have you had 3 cars at that point?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on to my 4th car now.
Damn, that's pretty crazy after all these years.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, what was, like, you're obviously into cars and stuff. What was your formal car?
What was my formal car? I think I drove myself in the Jag.
The Jag?
Yeah.
Good formal car.
Yeah.
Like your own car.
I think so. I can't really remember, actually.
Right.
God, that's shocking, isn't it?
I'm the same as you. Like, I grew up loving anything with wheels, whatnot. My best mate and myself were in a 1953, like, we wanted a tough Commodore or a street machine or something to do rolling burnouts to the formal, basically. Yeah. And we got basically something to shuttle the Queen in.
Nice.
And like he's like now he's one of the mechanics for Troy Bayliss's race team. Yeah. Like we've both just grown up with bikes and cars and fast things. And here we are in this thing with a wine cooler up in the back of us. And
what was it?
I think it was a 1957 Rolls Royce or something.
Oh,
very
Rolls
old.
Royce is
like it was a roller. It was primo, but for 2 motorsport nuts who thought we were reading Trading Post Sports and Performance every day at school and unique cars and everything. Yeah. To rock up in that wasn't our dream in formal, but partners at the time, mate, determined it, and they weren't real keen on having the windows open in a Commodore.
The hair would have got all messed up. I was just going to say the ladies at the formal would have loved the roller though. Like,
it's primo.
Yeah, they would have just been putty in your.
It's
hand,
a good time.
Sure.
It's a good time though, isn't it? Like, it's a funny time. Sort of like what you're saying about the Jag and that you've got. I've got to be this guy and that. You just don't know. You don't know who you are. So.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So, I'm just lucky when I had that Jag, and I'm just lucky that I never crashed the thing because it would have literally driven straight through a house. Like, it was that solid. If I'd run through, like, it would have just. If I'd hit one of my mates' little rubbish cars, it would have just demolished it.
That's right, and not had a dent on the Jag.
Yeah. So that was the luckiest thing about it. And like, I probably would have impaled my face on the solid steering wheel as well. So
I'm not laughing.
Been even worse looking than I am now.
Imagine, I'm not laughing like, oh man, he's gonna have an impaled face.
Yeah.
I just like, they were a weapon of a car. They were just about bulletproof.
They
in
were
size.
Yeah, that's why they were so freaking heavy.
Yeah, that's right.
So
S14.
Yep. So I got the S14,
And you got into drifting.
Got into drifting, yeah. So I think around that stage, no, before that, I was starting to do more riding again as well. So I had and I was like, I'm not a big guy at the moment, and I was even smaller back then. I think around the same time I had a KLX 650R as well. So the big old XR eater. Yeah. So I was flopping around the state forest with my mates with one of those things. Yep. My mates had WR 400s and 426s with the hot ticket at, around what we could afford, I guess. No one ever had new bikes. So we finished the drifting thing. So got the S14 and then, and I think it's sort of like something that, it's sort of like something that I do where, like with the Kingswood or whatever, like got it, to fulfill something that I'd wanted to do for ages. And I think that's that as you learn, as you get older, you're like, just if you want to do something, just do it. Like I got the car, and then even then, like I didn't know anyone that drifting. I did no friends that were into doing burnouts. So I think it took me like 12 months before I went to a skid pan day or something, and I'd wanted to do this since I was in school. And looking back at it now, it's like, there's things now that I always think about that. I'm like, if you want to do something, just do it, man. Like, get out there, buy it, go and do it. Because as soon as I did it, I met people. Like you might not meet them on the first time, but you meet them on the second time, or and as long as you're not like the biggest muppet ever, you're going to meet...
You'll get a friend base.
You'll get a friend base, And now, like, some of the best friends that I have, I've met through drifting. And, like, I don't drift anymore, but they're still, like, friends I'll have for the rest of my life. So, so started drifting, just went to, like, entry-level stuff first. And then I think I booked for, like, back at that stage, you could do, like, learn how to drift days and stuff like that. Which is, again, an awesome thing to do in anything that you do, like actually get someone who knows what they're doing to teach you rather than just go out and start kicking clutches and ripping handbrakes left, right and centre. Started doing that, and then just loved it. Started meeting people and was going to, like, was all the money I had at that stage was going to just, like, obviously paying rent. And I wasn't drinking alcohol at that stage. Like I didn't, wasn't a big drinker at all. Like, because all throughout my teens, when people were doing that stuff at school and all that kind of stuff, I was always like, I'm saving for my motorbike, I'm saving for my car, I'm saving to put fuel in my car to drive all of my crumb mates to parties. No, they're actually legends. And then always just wanting stuff, saving up for the next motorbike, or saving up for the next car, or saving up to go to a test and tune or whatever. So I was just going to heaps of drift events, and really that's the only way I kind of like got all right at it, because I just drove so many events, and I started with a stock car that was reliable. And one thing that I always like tell people to do, but a lot of people never do it, is like just gradually make changes. And I try and do that with my motorbikes as well, because otherwise you just change all this stuff, or you go straight for X 100 horsepower, and it just becomes too much. Like I just sort of tried to incrementally get better and improve the car as I was getting better.
You get lost, don't you?
You do, and you do all this stuff and you don't know what's affecting what. So I don't really even know how that sort of mindset came about. Probably because I couldn't afford to buy heaps of cool parts or big turbos anyway. And I was always like, I'm not going to spend a fortune on tyres. Like I'd rather do 2 events rather than 1 event, make a bit more smoke. So, drifting, like I'd still be doing it today if I was overflowing with cash. It's so good.
Really?
I'd love it, man.
Heavily into it.
Yeah, I love it.
Was it an expensive sport?
Yeah.
Tyres obviously a huge hit.
Tyres, fuel and entry is not so much. It's mainly tyres, and then if, like, I was really lucky, that car, I probably did 50 drift events in that car in my life, and maybe more, maybe less. I don't know,
Yep.
like a lot. And I drove to every one of them, and I drove home from every one.
Really?
Yeah.
So it wasn't a trailer?
Never a trailer queen, and it was
Yeah.
like 50 mil off the ground for a good couple of years.
Yeah, right.
And like I was going through bash plates every 6 months on that thing because it was just wearing them out on the roads all over southeast Queensland.
So was it a daily as well for you?
It was my daily, yep.
And your drift car?
And my drift cart had a lock diff, and it was the daily, and it would people
no.
would think you were the biggest idiot when you went to the shops in it, and it'd screech around on the
Yeah.
polished concrete.
So you didn't do the Logan job and weld it. She was a proper lock diff.
I shimmed it.
You
So it was,
okay,
it was
yep.
like a step above a welded locker, but
Yep.
it was a step down from like a proper two-way
Proper, yep.
because I couldn't afford that.
Yep.
So that's still like that, that was that real like lock diff was still that real like,
Yep.
I feel like I got influenced when I had the Kingswood to be like a bit of an Aussie bogan sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, lock diff for life, So
Mate, nothing worse, but that car park sound, hey, when people don't know what it is, you're pulling around in a car
yeah,
park,
they
tight
think your car's
turns.
absolutely cooked.
That's right. Yeah, it's like a Ducati pulling up. You hear-
Yes, it is exactly
to
right.
the
that.
untrained ear.
Yeah,
It's
except
not cool.
when you've got a Ducati and that happens, to the trained ear, which is
Yep.
usually someone who knows bikes or
Yep.
has cash and they own a Ducati, they're like,
course.
this guy's got a racy Ducati. But when you've got a lock diff in a Japanese car, the only people you get respect from are probably like some, absolute young deadbeats. Like if they're not your drift mates, they're probably like respect. Plus also like, let's steal that dude's valve stem caps, when he goes to the shops.
I wonder if that still happens.
I don't know.
There's a real peak time in the culture of that.
Well,
with valve stem caps.
Yeah,
Were huge.
you know the ones as well that they made them so you could do them up with a spanner for some reason, and you'd like almost twist the rubber valve stem like right out of the tire. I don't know why they had a spanner
On
like
it.
a little nut, for the.
It makes no sense. Like it's one of those things. Like I'm a griller on the tools.
Yep.
So it's just the ideal thing to over tension something.
Oh.
If you're going to do that, like
It's ideal
It makes
for
no
it.
sense.
Maybe
So-
it's like I don't know why they did it, but I don't know if people still steal valve stem
because
caps.
it was really hard. Like I'd be more worried about my valve stem caps than like all the stuff in my car.
Yeah, yeah.
Mid 2000s.
Oh,
that
they
always
were,
go.
They were walking out the door. You'd be putting them on as much as you're putting fuel in your car.
I wonder if they still. Yeah, I wonder if it's still a thing. Because that was that was a serious like local issue.
Yeah, you should do a podcast with some little grom and ask them.
Yeah. I'm sure we'd find some. We're in the hub of Groms.
Yeah.
There's a few around. But no, that's very cool.
Yeah, so drifting was awesome. Met some great people. Got to a point where was doing lots of events and
Out at Willowbank?
Out at Willowbank, yeah.
Yep.
At QR, I was doing stuff at Gympie and Archerfield and a few places around southeast Queensland. And got to a point where I was all right at it, and I was never really kind of like motorbike riding. I was never really into like comp drifting or like racing, I guess would be the motorcycle equivalent. I was more into like the doing it with mates. The free, like the bit more expressive, I guess it is with drifting, because there was a very different style. Same with that you see now with people who race and people who free ride. In terms of like motocross versus free riding.
For sure.
It was like that with drifting. There was comp guys who would go to the drift, and even on a practice day, they'd be running comp lines and they'd be doing all that kind of thing. And then there was guys who were not comp drifters. You could tell immediately by looking at their car because it wasn't set up for comp. It was set up for drifting / looking cool, which is really important.
Of course, yeah.
And it was a different style of driving. And that was what really attracted me, because all the way back to those early videos that I'd seen, that was like not comp drifting. So it was about that style, the expressive way people would drive with their car, but also how they set up their car and how it looked. That was like something that really interested me. The aesthetic of drift cars, I guess, and that whole Japanese culture around it. And even though like it blew up around, in that early 2000s in the States as well, it was always still the Japanese style was what I really liked and tried to sort of emphasize with my car and my driving. You sort of try and copy something, I guess, like you do when you see people motorbike riding. You try and
try
have
and copy it.
Cool style like something.
Yeah, and even if they don't.
Yeah.
I might try that.
I try that. No, that sucks.
I don't know too much about drifting, but is there like the race one where it's really come in sharp, hit the apex, and then you see the car full angle, full speed? Like is stylish one where you more, say, turn 3 at Willowbank where they do it there?
Yep.
Is that where you come around, hit it early, and just a really nice sort of slide around and not try and clip the apex each time? Or how does that sort of work?
Yeah, comp drifting is usually always, and so is like I guess like freestyle drifting, or what we call it, to make it cross over to motorbike stuff a bit easier. Comp drifting was always in pairs, and it would just be how close you could get to the car in front, but it was also a speed thing, and there were certain clipping points that you'd have to hit.
Right.
So it was kind of like the run was predefined, and it was predefined literally where the car behind you would have to be to get a perfect follow run. So it was kind of like you could go to a comp, and every single person at that comp was just trying to hit this one predefined comp line.
Wow. Yeah.
And trying to go fast through it. To obviously get away from the car behind them.
Yep.
Whereas if you had the same 3-6 corners at QR, and it was just like a free day, and you had all these, dudes just drifting for fun, the lines would be different. The way they drive together would be different. The amount of like angle would probably be different because they wouldn't care about necessarily going fast. They'd probably run wider lines at the start of a tandem or a train to let all their mates get up on the inside, because that just looks killer. It was about what's going to actually look the best, and driving for that, because it's a very visually judged sport. When you're in the car doing it yourself, but also when you're looking at it.
Yeah, right. Have you been to any of they call it D1, don't they?
In the States?
Yeah, have you been to
No. And even when I went to Japan, I didn't go to any drift events.
No. Did you see any of the car culture though?
Yeah. Bit of car culture, bit of motorbike culture, bit of scooter culture.
That's very very important in Japan, isn't it?
It is. Big scooters, big mufflers, big lighting on them.
Big sound system.
Yeah.
The big horns.
Big horns on them as well. Yeah, the Bozo style.
Yeah. I was trying to think of the name of that.
Yeah.
So what cars do you see in Japan?
Not as much as you would think that you'd see online. So you do see them around, and you do see bikes and that around, but you really have to like search them out. And I think, it's not as prolific as you would think it is. Which was probably one of the things that I found when I was over there. So, but yeah, awesome place. Like, can't wait to go back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I went for a snow trip mainly, so that was sort of the focus of that one. But I would love to do a driving holiday there, like going to drift circuits, hire a bike car and do a few events.
What's the like incredibly famous, and it's like the number one Japanese drift thing where they have the A86. What's the name of that famous road? They play the video game and the movies. The white AE86.
Yeah, Initial D is the
Initial D
is the
like there's a road that's mimicked off, isn't it?
Yes, there is. Yeah, I've forgotten the name of it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
I didn't drive it.
That would have been incredible.
It was like a classic Japanese mountain road.
Yeah, there's a motorcycle vlog came out a little while ago. I was watching it, and he went up there, and it looks like,
a video game.
Yeah.
And all the lines and everything painted on the road.
It's the same. Yeah. I was going to say, did you get to that? Because obviously you watched a lot of the Japanese culture stuff. That's something that would influence you a bit.
There.
Yep.
But no, it didn't get there, unfortunately. Still on the to-do list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, once we can travel again.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
So, okay, so you've got that car. That's treated you through till basically now.
Yeah.
So the KLX.
Yeah.
That was in mid-2000s.
Yeah. So I had that for quite a long time too.
Did? Yep.
Yeah. I think my dad was not like, I think he had a scooter when he was younger.
Yep.
Never really likes Triumphs.
Yep.
But never had a motorbike when I was a kid. And I kind of bought that for him because I can't remember what I was probably riding whatever else at the time, or him and I.
Yep.
We sort of bought it, and I think he rode it once.
Really?
and then I just started riding it forever after that.
Take over.
But then I think when we sold it,
Yep.
or when I sold it, like he got the money because I think it was essentially his bike.
Yeah,
So
right.
I sort of inherited that and then just sort of rode it and rode it forever and then sold it.
Yeah, right. So what'd you get after that?
After that, before that, I bought an XS 650, a 1974 Yamaha.
Yep.
Because somehow I got into, which I still am, into parallel twins, motors, air-cooled parallel twins.
Yep.
And I loved, obviously British did a whole heap of them and I really liked them, but I was still stuck in that Japanese fanboy of cars and bikes. So the Yamaha was like the perfect one. And in the early 70s, Kenny Roberts was just dominating on, flat tracks on an XS 650. So that sort of whole look and that whole little era, I guess, really appealed to me, of that sort of converted road bike being ridden on the dirt. That was sort of right when dirt bikes were specifically being made as dirt bikes, not as converted road bikes. So, loved a parallel twin motor. So I was just, bought an XS before we sold the KLX. And by the time we sold the KLX, I'd converted the XS into like a desert sled sort of thing. And I was riding that around on the road. It was registered, but then I would like ride up to the sunny coast, up to Beerbohm State Forest, and just blast around up in there on the XS, which was like, at the time when you got off the KLX, it wasn't that heavy because that thing was super heavy, and it was just way less suspension, so it just meant I was just going slower over stuff, but I wasn't that fast of a rider anyway, so it didn't really matter. So I was just having fun flopping around up there,
it's
like
all relative,
an idiot, and breaking stuff, and and just having the best time ever. So I still have that bike too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I'll never sell that.
That's yours.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
And that's like, I think that's why I keep bikes and cars for so long, because I'm one of those people that attaches memories to physical objects. Same. And I think that's like borderline becoming a hoarder, which I'm not, but I don't hoard, but I feel like I'm like on the slippery slope to being a hoarder. But I would only hoard like motorbike parts and motorbikes, not just like junk. Because all motorbike stuff is good stuff.
Like we just learned about $40,000 worth of arts and crafts.
Yes,
that's hoarding.
That's hoarding, apparently, when you've got an old Holden and you're building the arts and crafts
around your Holden.
Around the Holden.
Somewhat a mosaic.
It is, interesting. Yeah, something deeply psychological about
there
that
is
whole.
Something really deep.
I hope to get to that point in my life.
No.
No, mosaic of motorbikes around a car or something.
Actually, that'd be pretty cool.
I bought the XS.
Yeah.
And that's was like that sort of was like a. I was getting to that age where you start to realize things when you get a bit older that are like important things to you or something, or times in your life or whatever. And when I bought that, I was it was in northern New South Wales, and I'd found it. I don't know where I'd found it, and I think Trading Post might have still been going. I've had that for like 8 years, like a long time.
That's one thing I do miss, Trading Post.
Trading Post, we need to talk about that in a second. So the XS, you get to that point in your life where things happen and you sort of realise that they're important, I guess. And one of them was not necessarily buying that bike, but it was just that when I bought it, I said to my dad, like, let's go, I want to buy this bike. Will you come with me? It's in northern New South Wales. It'll take us a whole day to get down there and back. This dude, he's going to sell it to me, but he's might not. So we just need to go down there and just buy it. And he was just like, yep, let's go. I'll come with you. I'll put the trailer on. Let's drive down together. And that's sort of, I guess, when you get to that point where, and I was kind of like, oh, like he was just keen to do that. Like he's not really into bikes, but he would just like come and do that with me. And that was sort of something where growing up, like, we'd hassle him to go and ride. And he'd just take us, and he was like, my mum passed away when I was 2, when I was really young, and my sister was 4, so there was just the 3 of us. So he, like, sort of, I guess, had to put all his hobbies on hold and raise 2 young kids. But it was never like, as a kid, you never knew it was a burden. And he would always just be there to do whatever we wanted to do, and sort of support us. And then you sort of get to that point where you're old enough, and just something that's small as being like, I'll come pick up this bike with you, was just like, oh, he's been doing this for the last 25 years, like, it just makes you realize how special people are in your life. And now that a lot of that memory and emotion for me is attached to buying that bike. So,
I can understand that. I really can. It's Yeah.
So, and that's why it was really hard for me as well, just going back to the drift car. Like, it was really hard for me to sell that car because I'd met so many great mates through that car, like because of that car only. People that I probably would have never have spoken to or would never have spoken to me because my haircut was not like theirs.
Yeah. But the car got you.
The car is the common thing, and that's what's so great about motorbikes as well.
It is.
So yeah, that was sort of one thing with the XS. With the old boy that.
Was it in good nick?
Nah.
She was rough.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah.
I paid $1,500 for it, and everyone's like, "Wow, it's a steal these days." But it was like at that stage, it was still a steal, but it was probably
at the higher end of a steal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not in good nick, and that's why I was like, "This is not going to be a restoration. This is going to be something that I'll get running."
Yeah.
Like, I stripped it back to a bare frame and powder coated the frame, but I was like, I knew it was going to be custom. I knew I was going to have no qualms just beating this thing off road, and dropping it and doing whatever because it was never a. It was never a survivor. Because obviously now these days at Ella Speed where I work, you see people come in with certain bikes that you're like, should we cut this thing? Like,
that'd be a tough decision to make, wouldn't it?
Hard to find, but then you just do it.
So Ella Speed,
for
people that don't know, it's a custom motorcycle shop in Brisbane.
Yep.
How did you get there?
So I was. I got to Ella Speed from, I went through school, did uni, did multimedia design at uni, so I was doing web and online marketing, and that was sort of my background.
Right, yeah.
And then went and worked at a place that was doing basically management training, and I was doing like a lot of website, a lot of online training for managers and all that kind of stuff. So I was wearing like shirt and tie, if I had a meeting, a jacket.
Yep.
Out of uni, I had my little satchel bag and I was just living the corporate cubicle life for a good couple of years there. And then after hours, I'd go home and I'd be getting my hands dirty with an old Kingswood or the drift car by then, and the motorbikes and that sort of thing. Like, I would go to like Friday night drift sessions and I'd peel out of work on a Friday arvo early in my like shirt and tie, and I'd pull up at a servo halfway to Ipswich and get changed into some old clothes so I didn't roll into the track wearing this corporate get up so everyone,
Clark Kent.
Yeah, everyone would think like, who's this?
Wow.
Like, rolling in this get up. So did that. And then, I got to a point where I was like, I'm doing this stuff during the day, like all this online training, and then at night time I'm mucking around with cars, and I was just ready for a sea change. And that was really comfortable job. And I was at a stage in my life where I was like, look, all right, now's the time. I don't have kids. I don't have a mortgage. So it made it easier for me to make that decision to just be like, let's just try and find something else I can do that combines the passion with the profession, I guess. I was with my now wife, Amy, at that stage, and she was really supportive of it. And it was just a time where I was like, okay, let's see what's out there. And I sort of was looking around for what would be a dream job. And came across Ella Speed, and Steve and Leo, the owners, had just started it like a year or so or two earlier, I guess, in Leo's garage. So they were still like quite fledgling, and they'd just moved to the shop that we're still at West End at that stage. So it was really early days. Like, they'd just finished the original shop fit out. I just went and I think they were doing a talk somewhere, so I went and watched that and was like, these guys are the real deal. Like, if I'm gonna, give up this comfy job for a bit of an unknown, like, these guys seem pretty switched on, and just hit them up. And then obviously at that stage they were still like, getting the whole thing happening. And they were like, look, it's not the right time, but kept my details. And then, a couple of months later, they hit me up and said, look, come have another chat, and went down there. And by that stage, I'd finished up doing the office gig and because I was just over it by then. And was looking at all sorts of options and was doing freelance work. And then they said, come and have a chat. So I went down there, but it was like, we want you to come work for us. We need someone like you to get our online thing happening. We need we've got a website, but like
Yep.
wasn't great because they did it themselves and they're not web designers. And they knew that what I was interested in and what I could do would be very beneficial, but like they couldn't pay me at that stage because the business was still just staying afloat, I guess. It was essentially like, I was like, we had a discussion about where we needed to be and set some timeframes, and then sort of went and started working there. And it was like I didn't get paid really for the first 3 months, so I used a lot of my savings up, and that's where like having a supportive partner helps, and having no mortgage and no kids, because that would be really hard for other people to do. And then after that it was like, I don't know, a couple $100 a week, and then but we'd set a guideline like after 12 months I need to be sort of earning at least this amount of money, because otherwise I'll have no money left to keep supporting myself. So and luckily after 12 months we were able to get there. So, and that was like over 7 years ago now.
Is it really?
So yeah.
So they must be up nearly their 10th year. Pretty close.
Yeah, well, they were in Leo's garage in the 2011 floods. So they'd already been going like out of Leo's garage before that and built 2 bikes in there, and then lost everything in the floods, and sort of that was when they were like, all right, well, we need to move to a premises just after that, like a year or whatever after that. Got the shed in West End and started fitting it out. So they'll be, it must be 10
right
years.
On.
Yeah, or even more if they count whenever they first had their first meeting together.
Well, that's the part with Amy. That's huge, eh? Like to have a partner that just backs you 100%. It's a big thing.
Yeah, exactly right. Because, we were definitely at that stage of our relationship where we were serious. So it wasn't just like, oh, yeah, sure, do whatever you want. If you lose all your money, I'll just go find another boyfriend because,
that's right,
don't really like you anyway.
Just
that's my exit strategy. Yeah. So she was invested. So that was huge.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
For her to be like, this is your profession and your passion that you want to try and combine. I'll support you in that. And I don't know if I could have done it without her. Like I spoke to my dad about it a lot, and I spoke to her about it a lot to make that jump from a cushy thing. And without her, like I might not have done it for her being like, go for it. So,
and that's, it's,
she's very special.
A lot of people like never do it.
Yeah.
It's something that like, it's a message. It's a very similar story for myself. I did 15 years of engineering work prior to doing my video production stuff now. Went to uni and that afterwards. And it was the best thing I ever did. I had the best job in the world prior to it, and I'm still like best mates with my old boss. It was a great job. Everything about it was financially, everything is better than what I'd be going to do in video production and going to uni. But to go out and do something you really want to do, it's a message you just can't deliver enough to people,
That's right, yeah.
And as long as you've got people supportive around you to make that jump.
And some people can do it. Like I believe that some people can do it by themselves. Especially if they've got kids or a mortgage. Like I think you always can do it. It's just harder to make the jump. You're just risking a bit more. But it's like one of those things like you just say to people like,
it's the best.
Again, as you get older, you realise like life is only so long. You just got to go for anything. Like if you want to do something, you just got to go for it. If you want to start riding motorbikes, just go buy one and you'll meet people. And
who cares what it is, even if it's Thumbster or whatever. Go and start, get into it. And the amount of people that say, I couldn't have done it. I'm like, you could have. You could do it. You really could do it. And if you do it, it'll be the best thing. It'll be pretty shitty at the start. It's pretty tough. You probably won't work for much or whatever the case is. But as soon as you get into a rhythm of it and out of that job that you hate or whatever that position is that you hate, I can't say it enough to people. Now I'm 4 years away from that. And it was, for me, from my side of it, was tough because I loved that job and loved the work.
So hard.
Yeah. But anyway, 4 years on, here we are.
Yeah, good.
It's good, mate.
I'm glad we are. And it's one of those things where it's like, even if it doesn't work out, you tried it.
Yeah.
Like that's the important thing. Because how many super successful business people try and fail and then eventually do it. But if you don't, it's one of those things that you can tell people like try it, like do it, make the change, buy that bike.
So it's the best thing you've done?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like 7 years on, it's a long time.
Like work-wise, 100%.
So
Yeah.
you got in there, you did web development, marketing stuff
Yep.
and stuff.
Yep.
How did Dust Hustle come about?
Yeah. So,
Because you've become a custom bike building company that creates events.
yes.
It's like a real,
Yep.
it's a bit different.
Yeah, it is. So it actually came about in 2014 was our first year. So we did the first one in 2014 in September. So earlier that year, I was, a year or two, it must have been a year or just over a year in there. Doing stuff, doing marketing and just blowing it up. Not really, but
Making bikes
trying
great
my
again.
best, yeah.
Yep.
And it was like, all right, what can we do where we're building all these different bikes for people? And at that stage, we were still doing servicing there as well. So we had all these different types of bike customers between custom builds and servicing. And we were doing like custom builds on scooters like Vespas all the way through to like Harleys and, everything.
Yep.
So there was lots of clients from all different walks of life and interests, I guess. And it was like, how can we do something for all these people? And we were doing road rides, and everyone was doing road rides, at that stage. And road rides were, and still are like hard to kind of manage, because how can you go on a road ride with someone on a Vespa and someone on a custom Triumph and someone on a cruiser and someone on a custom dirt bike? They all want different things. So it was kind of like, all right, well, let's just and at that stage we were stocking Sideburn magazine from the UK, and they had just run the year before their first, I think, or second maybe, Dirt Quake, which is like an inappropriate flat track thing over there, but theirs is an actual race, like they actually have the actual racing. So we knew about that. Nothing like that existed in Australia on a professional track. So we were like, let's do that. Let's talk to them about bringing it over here, because we were in contact with Gary, who ran Sideburn, still does, and talked to him about it. It just wasn't feasible for us because it was so early and we just didn't have the budget to try and make that happen. Plus, we also wanted to make a few changes of our own, and it was like, they've got their thing, they were doing it. And we respected that, that's how much it costs to do that type of thing. So we're like, okay, well, we're not there yet. So we're like, let's just do our own. Let's just see what we can do. And we all had different bikes. I had the XS, my desert sled at that stage, so I was keen to ride it wherever on the dirt. So it was sort of lucky. We talked to a few people, and at that stage it was like all the professional tracks were Motorcycling Queensland clubs or operated. So we found it in with MQ, literally just to get an ear with them, to be like, this is what we want to do. And at the beginning it was super hard, because they were like, if you want to go to a dirt track, you can only ride dirt tracks bikes, because that's the only legislation we have to cover what happens. You have to have that type of bike for that type of event. You can't ride a dirt track bike, on a road course or whatever. You can't ride this. You can't ride a road bike on a dirt track. Like it was this is all the channels of legislation. So that was really hard. And they were kind of like, why do you want to do this anyway? Like it sounds like the stupidest idea ever. Like no one will be interested in riding like stupid bikes on a like inappropriate bikes on a dirt track. Like it sounds dangerous. Probably like it sounds like a lot of effort for something that's not really going to work. So but we pushed on with it, and luckily, even to a point where like they weren't even going to let us have posties on the dirt, because it was like, that's too dangerous.
Really?
No legislation for that. It won't happen. So there was just like pushing for ages, to eventually where we were able to like work out how it would work, what kind of bikes we could have. And we got pretty far. Like I think we were able to have like pretty much everything except like stuff that had forced induction, no super sport or like serious road bike category bikes. But they would let us have essentially everything else. And then we had this huge list of scrutineering items. It was like over scrutiny to the max. So but we were lucky, and as much as people have this and that to say about motorcycling in Queensland, they supported us to do it. And then we got onto a really good club at North Brisbane Junior Motorcycle Club at Banyo there. And the president at the time was Andrew Brook, who was willing to,
Is that Jared's dad?
That is Jared's dad, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Was willing to let us come out there.
Yep.
So pretty much in the early days, Andrew Brook and then Howdy and Mandy Castles were, they were sort of really key in helping us get it off the ground there, and making sure that, it sort of worked, I guess, because they were sticking their neck out like a huge way, because they run all these races there all times a year. And if they have all these Muppets show up on bikes that, are inappropriate and they have 20 ambulances come, then that, puts a spotlight on their club and why it happened there and all their safety, things. So they're taking a big risk. So we're always thankful to North Brisbane Club and those people, especially, for letting us have the event there. So we were like, all right, let's sell some tickets to this thing. Like, we had no collateral. The first poster that we made was a photo of me that I edited in Photoshop to do the poster effect on.
Wow.
And it was literally my access at lunchtime. We pushed the excess around the block where there's now a big block of units. There was an empty dirt car park, and I did some circles in there. And I'm not a good rider, so there was one bit where I was 5 degrees sideways, and we got a photo of it. And I turned that into a poster.
Wow.
At the start, and because we were careful about we couldn't use any of Dirtquake's imagery. We didn't really know any photographers that were shooting it. Well, no one was shooting anything like that in Australia anyway. So it was how do we sell this to people? How do we get people to come if we can't show them what it is? You sort of had to verbally try and talk people into it every time they walked into the shop. So we just thought no one would come. We thought we'd be the only people riding there just by ourselves. And I think we had 83 people came the first year to ride.
Was that first year the year that they had the scooters with Batman in that?
That was the first year that Dwayne was the scooter with Batman. So we were encouraging people to dress up. We were dress up, it'll be fun.
I came to that.
Did you? There you go. That was the very first year. Yeah.
I looked at that. I guess I did dirt track there.
Yeah.
And I came across because I'm like, what is this? Same deal. I come from dirt track. I'm like, what's going on here?
What are these idiots doing?
Yeah. And I come across and thought, this looks like the funnest thing I've ever seen.
Yep.
And I've got a photo still to this day of the Batman on the scooter.
Yep.
In 2014.
Yep, 2014 it was September. So that's Dwayne.
So
he still rides at the event.
Really?
And he has actually ridden at every single one.
What's he ride now?
He is Frankenchopper.
Oh, is it him?
Yeah, same guy.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah. He's famous.
He is famous. Yeah. So he was Evel Knievel he was Batman, Bat Scooter.
Yeah.
Then he was Evel Knievel for a few years.
Does he do Evel Knievel and Ducati?
No,
That's another one?
It's another guy. Yeah, I think he's sort of taken over the Evel Knievel mantra.
He's pretty full on.
Yeah, so he was Evel Knievel on an XL or an XR 250.
Oh, yeah.
And then he turned that, or he might, no, he's got two actually. And then he got another XL 250 and raked that out to be Frankenchopper.
The scariest motorcycle going around.
Yeah. We had to make him get proper engineering certificate for that.
Did you really?
End. Yeah.
What is an MQ requirement? Or just something
kind of that,
thought of?
Kind of like I thought as well. This thing's going to snap in half and just impale him, and then I'll never sleep a night again in my life. As the event organizer.
So bad.
Yeah, I was he sent me a photo of it, and I was like, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
This is where we're up to.
So true. It's
like 12
scary.
foot long. And it's just metal pole.
Yeah.
It's heavy duty, whatever.
And you see it
It's all
swaying though.
engineered. There's no suspension. It just
sways like this.
just bounces.
Oh, mate. So, you had to get proper engineering cert.
We did for him, yeah. That was getting to that point where the mods were getting so wild that if we probably could have got away with it once, but then certain people would have seen photos of it and then probably asked us, to see what our scrutineering guidelines were like and how we allowed that. Especially when he came to the QMP one with that and was like, I'm going to jump this thing. Yeah. So we were like, this is the best thing ever / also could be the worst thing ever.
Yeah, for sure. We support you, but
we don't. I was like, if I wasn't running it, I'd be like, hell yes. Yeah. Let's definitely do this.
Yeah, let's jump it.
Let's build the lips up.
Yeah, where's the double?
Yeah.
Wow. What a supporter, though, for the event. If he's done every one.
Absolute legend.
Yep.
Him and another guy, Mick Davidson, who's a Ninja Turtle.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I'm pretty sure they're the only two that somehow have managed to get tickets to every one. They're like in their 40s, I would say.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Maybe early 50s. Sorry, guys, if they're younger than that.
We're pretty close to that too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but they're like just must be a weapon on the
Yep.
keyboard because it sells out pretty quick these days. So they
It's like the big day out.
they get in.
You
Yeah,
gotta sit up at midnight and wait for the excitement builds. And
yeah, which is incredible because that first event,
Yep.
we were like, we're going to be the only, like there was a couple of us at the shop. We were like, all whatever us
Yep.
at the shop are going to be the only ones riding. There'll be no one here.
Yep.
We'll spend a bunch of money and then we'll go home.
Yep.
Like on hiring the truck essentially for ourselves,
Yep.
and go through all this, paperwork to get it off the ground. And 83 people came, and I think there was probably like 100 spectators, which you were one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So, that was the first one, and then it just sort of rolled on from there. And yeah, we still do one every year at North Brisbane. We're really lucky that North Brisbane Junior Motorcycle Club are a club full of legends, and their committees, because the committee evolves every year as well, and that every year they're still willing to have us back.
Support it. Is Howdy Castle still there?
No,
Gone.
they've hung up the boots. They were well due for retirement. They worked
They're done. Yeah.
really hard there for a lot of years, especially with us with Dust Hustle, and they had Jack and Jace, their boys were racing there for a lot of years, and they did they did Howdy and Manny did a lot for the club there.
He did one year, didn't he, Jace, on that turbo?
We roped Jace and Jack because they were both like North Brisbane pros, so we roped both of them into riding a couple of times in some pro demos, and then Jace had this beach race bike which was a turbo YZ 450F that he rode one year.
That was
as well.
beautiful, eh?
Yeah, with like a big long swing arm, and I think they were having some running issues one time, but we should try and twist his arm and get him to come out of retirement.
We've got to get that bike coming out again, because it's he did for the Grass Tree Beach races in Mackay.
That's right.
Yeah, it's piece of work.
Yeah, we need to try and get some more of the Grass Tree gang down for it now that we're allowed to have super sport bikes and forced induction.
So what changed there?
Essentially, we just had a good track record.
Really?
Yeah. And after like years and years, because every now and then we'd have a few people that would ask, that would be like, I've got this bike, it's an old GSXR that I used to race and I crashed it and it's got no fairings, but I'd be keen to try this out. It looks pretty silly. And they've obviously got a few screws loose. So
of course, yeah.
You're a road racer, you know what they're like.
Silly.
So we literally just had a pretty good track record with how the event was going. So every year we would sort of see what people were asking, see what people wanted, and we'd go back to MQ or we'd talk to insurance people and we'd say, look, this is what we want to do. Can we do it? And we just sort of keep, this is our track record. This is how many, so that's why it's really important to like find that fine line between like having a really fun, really loose time.
Yeah.
But also making sure that it's still safe and everyone, because at the end of the day, I want everyone that starts the event to be there so I can have a beer with them at the end of the day when we all knock off.
For sure.
That's like the most important thing.
That's a key.
And it's really hard when people are riding road bikes with road tires on dirt and doing jumps and stuff. But you just sort of put everything in place, and you don't want to over-regulate anything. So we try and make the rules as minimal as possible because it's about making it accessible for everyone.
Yep.
So literally now it's essentially whatever bike you have got. If it's got two wheels, like we're not allowed to run trikes and quads yet, in the same categories at least. But yeah, if it's got two wheels, whatever bike you've got, you can ride it at Dust Hustle.
It's awesome.
On the dirt. So that's like, that's been a real work in progress to get to that point where we can sort of say that, I guess.
How much of being a custom building shop, how much of your shop time is taken up in an event?
Me personally, a lot.
Really?
Yeah. So probably I would do Dust Hustle. Well, with the social media ticks over. So I do Dust Hustle stuff every week.
Yep.
For the whole year, and we only do 2 events. And then leading up to the event, like it takes up a lot of my time.
Yep.
And then, like the week or 2 before the event, I sort of drag people in from other parts of the business or volunteers or whatever, to make it happen. So it takes up a lot of time. And that was, I guess, in the early stage, the first 4 years, everyone in the shop rode. Well, the first 4 events, because the 4th year we went to Badadabar, because after year 3, when it was really busy at North Brisbane and we sold out, I think we sold out in like a week or something. We were like, it's going crazy. This is the best thing ever.
Yeah. In a week.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's when we were like, all right, well, maybe we should add a second one to the calendar.
Yep.
And that's where the sort of scrambles one came in, because we already had a flat track one. We're like, let's sort of add something a bit different. But yeah, when in the early days we were all riding as well, and then by the time it got to that fourth one, like I think I rode 4 laps at the fourth one.
Yep.
And there was just too much to do for our little team. And that's when we realized that the event was getting to that point at the event, but also before and after, it was getting to that point where it was like, all right, this is sort of outgrown just being a fun day for us and our customers now, and we need to, if we want it to keep going,
We've got to be event managers now.
Essentially, we sort of grew into that, where we had to be event managers. So that was like a real double-edged sword, because I loved riding at the event, but at the same time, like I love, like we're so stoked that so many other people are doing it. And it sort of grew to that point as well where, just everything around it was more to do. So, it takes a lot now to do 2 events for a company that's essentially not an event management company.
That's right, yeah.
To just do this event that just grew, not because we were like, like how many events these days the event is to make profit, and the byproduct is that people can go and listen to music, or they can go and do whatever. Whereas literally that started because we're like, this will be a really fun idea. Yeah. And stupid, which means it'll be even amusing.
Yeah. And it's obviously proven.
Yeah.
With the support and the people that keep coming back year after year.
Exactly right. Yeah.
The heart's in the right place from the start. Yeah. The foundations are there.
I think that's right. The vibe from the start was sort of from that, and I guess you try and carry that forward. Like I think people get it.
Yep.
Like they probably see that, the people that are running it would be riding if the
time permitted,
if they could.
Sure.
Yeah. So they sort of see like it's event just by someone who's exactly the same as them that just wants to ride this silly bike on the dirt. So, and we're lucky to even get to that point. Like Steve and Leo, even in year 1, being able to be like, this sounds like a kind of a fun idea. Let's do it. And even for them as small business owners to be like, let's keep doing this and taking a bit of a risk and taking a financial hit to organise it. Even now, we cover the hard costs, but we probably still lose money on the amount of time, the staff spend on it. Because we try and account for all of that, but it's so hard to work it out for the whole year, like how many little 5 minutes and 10 minutes and 1 hour here, there, every day or every week you spend on it. So for them to still be because it's grown so far away from, from just a little thing that drives customers back to Ellispeed, it's just its own event now. That they're still like, let's keep doing it is like, I think I always, big props to them for letting it happen.
Keep supporting
still. Yeah, for keep supporting it, because at the end of the day, it's their, it's the sort of small business that's
everything
making
on
it
the
happen.
line.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So
but you said it really well just before, and I'm going to stuff it up. Badar.
I say Badadabar.
I just say
Badadabar.
I can say anything. So.
We don't have to say it anymore because unfortunately it's not a venue. Sadly. Yeah,
that was an awesome venue.
That was a killer venue.
Yeah. Just in general as a track. Yeah. Like the QVMX Club obviously was their place.
Yep.
That was one of the best venues for any sort of bike riding around.
Yeah. So we were there for one event.
Number 4.
Number 4 it was. Yep. And in the start of the 4th year, when we were like, we got to do something else. And that was awesome there. And that sort of was the point where we were like, this thing's getting big. Well, we sort of knew it, but that's when it was like pretty evident. That was the Toby Price come to ride at that event, which was like amazing. I was I still am a big Toby fanboy, so that was pretty killer.
And he absolutely shredded.
Oh, he wore a panda suit and rode his Dakar bike and just dusted everyone. And it was the best thing ever.
Bought his ute along.
Yeah.
Kids anger. He just...
Yep.
Just does it right,
Yep. He does it right. And I think that was sort of it worked well with the event because that was sort of fit in with the vibe of it. There was no VIP areas and all that kind of stuff. It was just he was just like every other punter there.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can twist his arm to come back again. But yeah, that was a killer.
That's a good one. Yep.
That was a real good one. But then yeah, we would have gone back there the next year. But the problem, obviously with motorcycle clubs is committees change and people change. So you're always dealing with new people.
Yeah. Yep.
So we were booked on to go back there again the following
really?
year.
Yeah,
Yep.
right. Yep.
And we were actually had the posters out, had a bunch of printing done, all with Badadabar all over it for DH6 it would have been.
Yeah.
And about 2 months before, we'd already sold, we were just about to sell rider tickets. We were a week away from selling rider tickets.
Yep.
And yeah, the president was like, look, the committee, there's a lot of stuff going on in the committee. The venue was sort of changing over with, who was going to be running it because there was some developments or whatever. And anyway, they were like, we can't guarantee your date. That's in 2 months' time.
Wow.
Or however long it was. Might have been 3 months. I can't remember.
Because you would have been originally dealing with John Tate.
John Tate.
For the first year. And that
for the first year. And then he finished up, unfortunately, because we already had built that relationship with him. So it's always nice to continue a relationship if you got it. So, and it was no fault of the committee or the president that
just happens.
Had got in there. It was just happened. It was turmoil with that venue and where the future of the actual venue was going to be. So they were like, look, we can't guarantee the date. And for us, we couldn't run obviously an event without a guaranteed date. So then it was just this mad scramble because we were a week away from rider tickets going on sale to try and find a venue or cancel it.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, luckily within a week we were able to we sort of talk to anyone we knew, and then we went back to MQ and was sort of talking to them, and then that they put us on to obviously QMP because they've got an interest there, and was sort of, I knew we were in the lurch essentially. I don't know if we had said to them before that, can we go and do it at QMP? They probably would have been like, we'll let you run it somewhere else, but not at a venue that we're involved with.
Yeah, our own venue.
Yeah.
So that's how QMP came about.
That's how QMP came about. They were they knew we were in the lurch, and we were, potentially going to can this thing. And yeah, they sort of helped us out and introduced us to Ray Buchanan from QMP, who's another absolute legend, old Raybo.
Yep.
So yeah, he sort of sat down with us, and
so he basically put all the tracks together, all the different places.
Yeah, well, because they already had a bunch of tracks, and when we went there, we were like, and the attraction, I guess, as events, Dust Hustle works because it's not something you can go and do every weekend.
Correct.
So we went there to QMP, and he was like, yeah, we've got this many tracks, and we were like, all right, let's just pump the brakes. Yeah, we can't run an event. Sure, the bikes are different, but we were like, we want the whole package. This event, the point of this event is everything's different. That's why it works. The people's outfits are different. Their bikes they ride different. You've got to have that point of difference, and you've got to stick to it. So yeah, we were like, look, we'll use one track, and then the rest of them, I was like, what can we do? What have you got? Where is the paddock? Where can we, and he was like, if we make something, it's got to be certified and all this sort of stuff. So we were like, all right, well how much is that going to cost? Let's do it, So yeah, we use one track there, and then the other two tracks is a kid's training area that they don't allow to use, and we cut a little enduro loop off that to make it sort of bigger enough to fit sort of 40 bikes at a time on there. And then this other area we sort of marked out a flat track and got it all approved, a grass flat track there, which they never had before. And sort of we're able to do that. So now it's kind of okay, here's this event where not only are you riding tracks that you can't just go and ride at QMP, but you also can ride on a different bike, and you can,
because that what you've got set up there just about make me want to go to QMP all the time.
Yeah,
compared to what it is the other 52 weeks of the year. Yeah, that's awesome. Having all the different tracks, and it's a good setup that you've done.
It works out really well. And it's just an awesome venue for it, and probably actually we found out doing it at Badadabar that we had to spend an absolute fortune of money and time on taking everything there, because there was no power there was no toilet blocks, there was not enough fencing, there was no rubbish. Whereas QMP's got a lot of that stuff that event organisers know, but we had no idea. So we sort of learnt all that the hard way, that we had to cough up for all that kind of stuff. So that was a benefit of going to
What a learning
QMP
curve,
as well.
eh?
Yeah.
Like really, the whole lot.
We've just been rolling with it. And, you know, like each year, like everyone
Yeah.
who's been there knows, like, you know, when you
Yep.
went to the first one and then when you go to one now, it evolves. So we've evolved from what we learned, but also from what, like, if someone who's riding in the event rides it and comes up and says, what about this? Like, we won't be like, oh, yeah, cool.
So is there anything
We'll listen to it.
that you
know,
can
like,
talk of for the future? Like, as in, is there any different track changes or anything like that?
We always, definitely the QMP one, we can always like tweak that, because especially because two of them are not a proper set out track, so we sort of tweak it. And even just little stuff like last year on the flat track, one corner was like near this sort of like pond thing and it was really wet and we'd like watered the whole track, but this one corner was already wet, so it was just like there were just bikes going tires up everywhere. So just little stuff like that, you know, like we changed little
But
things
just
like
keep
that.
it consistent.
Yeah, but just tweak it, because the year before that we had a drag strip at Badadabar instead of a grass flat track. You know, we had 2 scrambles and we had an uphill drag strip, so we did that.
How'd that work out?
Look, I think we had our most ambulances because of that.
Was that full on?
It was really interesting because it was like we run all these tracks. There was jumps on the QMP thing, and the most
Low risk.
accidents we had was from two straight lanes going up a hill.
That's the lowest risk form of riding.
Is it drag racing?
Well, you'd think so.
You would think so.
When you go out to Badabada,
Yeah.
if I said it right.
Yeah, that sounds about
I
right.
just look at that place. I look at that drag strip and think, for me, that is the most safest thing I could do.
Yeah. We put
As
hay
a-
bales at the end.
As a terrible rider,
Yeah.
that's the safest thing I can do.
Yeah.
But probably wasn't.
No,
So
wasn't, you know. So
was that the most injuries you had
yeah.
out of all the years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we did a drag strip at QMP, which wasn't as many injuries because it was a flat drag strip as opposed to an uphill, which I thought would have been worse, but it wasn't. I think it was just literally flatter.
Yep. What do you think of having the drag strip there?
It was good for a while,
Yeah.
but we only evolved it from feedback because like I did a few, like, because we weren't riding by that stage as well, so we literally rely on everyone who's riding the event, because we see everything.
Yep.
But when you ride it,
It's a different vibe.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we would do a few pass runs and be like, this is fun, and you know, chop your mates. You know, who buys first at the bar, all that kind of stuff. But then when you actually do the event and your group goes around to that drag strip, once you do 3 or 4 runs and you've probably nearly toasted the clutch on your $500 Gumtree TS185 anyway, you're probably over it. So, it sort of got to that point where it's like you can do a few runs, but then you're like, I've done that. You know, you almost don't need to go back there in the afternoon. Just because, it's a bit different from obviously proper drag racing where you can just keep doing it and evolving.
It's a good thing, like it is, but 45-minute slot.
Yeah.
And that's it. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Turn it on, turn it off, I think. It's sort of,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we could take, like, if everyone's like, let's do drag racing again, like we could bring it back. But the grass flat track was like the best track last year. It was so good.
it was awesome. Yep.
It was epic. Grass flat track it's just awesome for like any bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%, like no matter what it is. So QMP, will that continue to be a place?
Yeah, hope so.
Yep.
As long as they keep having us back.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, because it's just it's a venue that works. They've got good facilities there.
Yep.
They've got a good team, and I guess probably something which, if anyone is involved in motorcycle clubs, like if they get this deep into the video, then props to them, because they've waded through some junk already. But if you're involved in a club, the one benefit for us as like an event organizer coming from, you know, really experienced event organization that we organize 2 events a year.
Yep.
And apart from some road rides that we do ourselves.
MotoGP level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A takeaway is like, for us as an external events place dealing with QMP, it's like you can ring up Ray and you can ask him a question, he can give you an answer. You can't do that with a club or a committee. Well, you can to an extent, and that's why some of the people that we've dealt with at, like John Tate was good at it, but probably copped some heat for it. I'm sure people at North Brisbane, their presidents over the years as well, because sometimes they can and sometimes they can't. And I think clubs need to find that fine line if they want to attract any kind of external sponsors or external brands. There's some times where you need someone on the committee or a president to be able to make a decision and then go back to the committee and say, this is what I've decided. You know, you guys, I'm the president. You know, you're elected for a reason. There's a lot of stuff that the committee obviously should decide on together. But that makes it so much easier to deal with as an event organizer, because sometimes we'll have questions or whatever, and it's part and parcel. It's not a bad thing, but you know, like with North Brisbane, sometimes you have to wait a month for an answer. Wow. And it's like, you know, until the next, you might have just missed the committee meeting, so you got to wait till the next one. And that's part of it. Like, we understand that, but yeah, sometimes there are certain things where I think clubs, which is a really hard, because obviously sometimes people can take it, like in a committee could take it too far if they were given that power. But that would be really beneficial, I think, for a lot of clubs in Australia, if they could get some kind of setup where, for a brand or an external event organizer or anything that they're trying to attract that moves at some kind of pace, you know, like brands, marketing and all that kind of stuff, sponsorship of a track, you know, they need to be able to get an answer on stuff quickly. And that is a huge benefit of dealing with a place that only has, you know, that has a venue manager essentially. So yeah, hopefully we'll keep as long as I keep Ray happy.
And he's pretty easy to keep happy.
He's a good man, Ray. I get along with him really well.
Oh, that's good.
And I with MQ and with all of the committees and that, like, I didn't grow up racing. So I don't know any of them from any kind of background before Dust Hustle. So I just walk into meeting them as someone who wants to do this, and they've got no preconceived ideas of me, of thinking I'm hot shit or I'm a turd or I was a really nice guy, so we're going to bend over backwards for him. So it works both ways.
It's a real blank canvas, isn't it?
It is, so that's a benefit, but it's also a hindrance, because they're like, you've never done anything for us before, so why are we going to bend over backwards for you? On the other hand, they're like, you've never come to our club and been an absolute turd, so you're never coming back here. So it sort of works both ways. You when you come from not in that area, it sort of goes both ways there.
So have you turned into being a good event manager?
No.
Tough gig, eh?
Yeah, it's so hard. I don't know how people, like, I get grey hairs from 2 events a year, I reckon.
Imagine it every weekend.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. Like, I love Dust Hustle. Like, I love the event, but still a stressful thing.
It would be.
Yeah, really stressful.
People don't, well, maybe they do realise, but I don't think people realise what goes into behind the scenes for these things.
That's right, yeah. And to be honest, it's been really good for me, because running an event, until you run one or you're part of something that runs one, like, it has changed. Like, I used to go to events and not think a thing about it and push the limits, the rules, whatever. You know, as long as no one died, happy days. But
not extreme.
Like, you know, with car events or motorbike events. Whereas now, if I go to any other event, like, I love having a good time, but I know that there is someone that's probably absolutely pulling their hair out if I do this, that, or the other. So I think you can still have a really good time and sort of try and be, I guess, respectful. Especially, I think we're very lucky with Dust Hustle, because I think a lot of people know that we're not just like a corporate event company. They're just kind of like, they hopefully see us as the same as them, but just we're the ones that are just running it and they're the ones riding.
I think so.
So I think they sort of get that. They'll sort of really try and push the rules, but still, like, not go to a point where they know it's going to be an absolute ball breaker for us after the event. So yeah, we're really lucky with the crowds that come to that. There's obviously always a couple, and they're usually people that aren't like what I would call like a hustler. Like, they're not invested.
They're a one-off.
They're a one-off. You know, they'll come once and then they'll never come again, you know, because whatever. So, and there's people that we've had to say, like, you shouldn't come back.
You have?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Because there's always going to be people like that. You know, I want everyone to come back. Like, if they're willing to come and ride something stupid on the dirt, then they're probably a bit of a lord that I'd like to have around.
Yep.
But unfortunately, sometimes there's people that just are going to be absolute drop kicks.
What's the nuttiest thing you've seen?
Bike wise,
Yeah.
someone ride.
Yeah. Or activity there, like is it Kirkness on the road bikes? Is it?
Oh, we're really lucky that some of those pros will come and just go absolutely berserk, because we all think we're going berserk until you see like Kirkness go past on a road bike with road tyres, on the lock stop and on the throttle stop at the same
awesome
time.
watch, eh? Yeah.
So that stuff's pretty killer. But for me, it's just like, it's literally all of the... I get most enjoyment out of watching like the average Joes and Joettes, because they go out there and most of them will like, and I know this because I do the same thing. Like we will pick the worst lines. We will like have probably not great technique and you just make it work on whatever bike you got, and watching them, because it's not predictable. Like my riding's not predictable. It's shocking. So you see these people just trying to manhandle this absolutely jalopy with probably flogged bushes around the corner, and they're wearing a banana suit or something. Watching
It's real fun.
Just salt of the earth fun, and it takes me back literally full circle to when my mate taught us to ride at his place, and he was just like scooped up all the bikes that he had, and there was scooters and there was YZs and there was everything, and you were all just hammering around some little track together. It's like, I always say, this is the adult version of riding with your mates when you were a kid, if you were lucky enough to have that.
If you can transfer that over to an event, that is the best. It's got to be the best feeling,
We try, yeah.
Because, like even last week I went over to Stratty riding moto. And it's the first time in a long time that I've just really enjoyed it, enjoyed riding. And it's because I wasn't chasing a group of people or anything. It was just like going back to being a kid. I was just exploring around and doing my own pace. I thought, far out, like I love bikes. But it was the first time in ages where it's just real fun. And that's what I see at your events as well when I've ridden and stuff as well. So, yeah, it's such a good feeling to do that, because it's no fun if it's just, I don't know, so competitive, ego. It's just none of it.
That's right. And people can do that stuff.
For sure.
Like they can do that already, but you've got to have the right bike to do that.
For sure.
I mean, I guess you probably wouldn't go, like, that's probably why it was so hard for us to get Dust Hustle off the ground, because we were going to these race venues.
For sure.
And they didn't understand why we would want to like all ride around and race on bikes that were just not fair. Like, that's not competitive. That's not going to be fun or fair. And now that is a really key difference for us with Dust Hustle, is that it's a staggered start, or, at QMP, it's the track's open and you go on. And then it's like the time finishes, or it's a random checkered flag, at the flat track. So whoever happens to come around gets the checkered flag first. So
easy.
They're a winner. And that is a huge difference, because like if you go out there with someone that's faster than you, or we're really lucky to have legends like Chris Vermeulen and Jason Crump and, Gary McCoy and all those Mr. Motocross, all those guys come and ride, and Gemma Wilsons and, Emma McFerrin's and all the legends like that. All these pros come, and you're genuinely stoked when one of those legends roasts you in the face.
For sure.
But if you were actually racing them, like, you don't have fun when an ex-pro comes up and dusts you. It's not fun.
No.
But when they're there and you're all riding around together and they go past and you see how fast they can go from right next to them, not from behind a fence, it's like the best thing ever.
Yeah, it would be.
So having that little difference where it's kind of like, as soon as you get going, you're racing someone. Whoever's beside you, you're racing them. Whoever's just in front of you, you're
still racing them.
You're racing. But I think that's a really key difference as well. And that's sort of like where people, who don't race like me, or have never raced, can sort of start to, probably head towards racing.
Yeah, it's probably brought some people actually into racing.
Well, it has for me.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I started racing, this is a really loose term, vintage enduro.
That's right, you got the KDX.
Got the KDX, which
200?
is KDX 200. aka best trail bike ever built.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Mr. Kawasaki.
Still waiting for my sponsorship letter from Kawasaki Australia.
You'll get it one day.
Like, I think it's one of those things where you can get that little taste of competitive edge. And then, if you want, like, some people have graduated to be club members at North Brisbane, or they'll be, they'll buy an appropriate bike and start doing that if they feel like this bit of competitive with whoever someone was beside them was something that they liked.
Yep.
Whereas before, the only way you would get a taste of that is if you went out and bought a $10,000 KTM and actually lined up on the gate, or you might buy a second-hand one. It's still going to be like,
6,
still going to
7,
five,
something like that.
yeah. So whereas now you can dip your toe in that water for $1,000 on Gumtree and a event ticket and a stupid outfit, and if you like it, then you can go and graduate to do that. So it's kind of like a stepping stone, definitely for the whole hooligan thing as well.
I was about to say this, but you're going to beat me to it.
Yep. Go on, you say it.
No, you say it, mate.
Yeah, like the whole, like year one, no Harley Davidsons at the event.
Yep.
That has been the biggest growing portion of the event, is Harley's riding. And now I think at our last event, it was approximately 50% were Harleys in the road bike category. So like that's how much it's growing. And that's the thing, like they can come and ride if you're like the whole hooligan thing is blowing up. If you're into that kind of stuff, but you don't necessarily want to line up with a couple of these beasts that are already absolute shredders, then you can come and dip your toe at Dust Hustle and see what it's like. And if you like it, then you can, screw something together a bit more competitive. And sort of take that next step. So it's like that. I feel like it's like that for a lot of stuff. And hopefully we're sort of, just like this fun stepping stone for people that used to race can come back and have some fun. People that are going the other way might graduate on, but hopefully they can all still come and meet in the middle and we can just have a really good time.
Because like I was talking to Brian about it in the first episode.
Yeah.
And obviously hooligan's big over in the States and everything. Yeah. But I personally feel Brian says the same thing. If it wasn't for Dust Hustle, it probably wouldn't have the same traction that it's got currently here.
Well,
it's fostered a generation of people coming to Dust Hustles that have started to be out of same thing. Legislations were like, we can't ride this on the thing, and it's gradually broken that down to a point now where you can do it, and now there's some racing happening.
That's right.
And that's been fostered from that event. So and as one event, and then it's just kept going.
Brian's a very nice man, and we paid him a lot to say that.
No, that's right.
But he's right. You're like, well, hopefully, maybe if we could be some small part of that, that would be epic. Because I know there used to be like an Aussie twins flat track category or something, and that that was like when we were trying to do this and we were talking about the types of bikes, they sort of made mention of a category that used to be like that in flat track, but it didn't, like we couldn't even ride a postie in that class or something. So I know that used to be around, and for whatever reason that just died off, and that used to be like Triumphs and Harleys and all that kind of stuff. So if we could be just a tiny part of getting like a class like that going again, that'd be amazing. Like that'd make it worth a lot of it worthwhile, because that's just another category of racing that's not lost, I guess.
It's opened it up again. It really has.
The only thing for me about, I guess while we're on the topic of hooligan stuff, for me, then this might be really controversial, but like actual hooligan racing, like on that small oval, is like, for me personally, this is not a reflection of anyone else. I just feel like it's a real snooze fest. Like,
it's not your thing, eh?
It's not my thing because, and this is the reason why, because when you see those guys go on like even a speedway size oval, it's like 10 times as exciting. And then when you see them go on an Australian dirt track, like Dust Hustle, or when they did the Sultans of Slides series, like any footage I saw from that was killer, like looked epic. The tiny little indoor things, like, Brian said, like they're barely breaking traction. He's not even going fast enough to back it in. Like it's like having a lion that's got a collar on it.
Yeah, it's
like let him off the leash.
I'm the same. I love American flat track. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite sports. But that's as in being American flat track. When you're on the mile track, you're Sacramento Mile or something like that. That's, for me, that is the key of flat track racing.
Yeah, incredible.
But it's good to see all facets of it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying there too. But you see them like the original On Any Sunday. Yeah. And you see the guys coming in at 105 mile an hour or whatever, and just pitching it into a turn.
Incredible.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
And I think for us, like Australia's always, especially a dirt track, has done it differently. Like we run wheel and tyre setups that nowhere else in the world runs. So I think obviously the hooligan crowd have to, like, America is the biggest market, and that's like that little hooligan style track, so they have to be able to do that, I guess, or work towards that. But I don't think and they're not, which is great, I think, of doing hooligan Australian style on like TT tracks and bigger Australian dirt tracks. Like that is super exciting. Like
Definitely.
that is way more exciting than like hooligan stuff. And I think, even maybe in hooligan stuff in the US will graduate from those smaller courses, and they probably do already, like at Buffalo Chip or whatever, to more of a TT thing. Like I think that stuff's really cool because the bikes are big, they're capable of some horsepower,
for sure.
and doing some big things. So yeah, I'd like to see like Australian hooligan, sure, do that small hooligan thing, but also do some like real Aussie hooligan style tracks and racing.
Tracks.
Like
that hooligan track, say the track in the middle of North Brisbane, the junior track.
Yeah.
You're talking really about that size as what a hooligan track is. Yeah. Like, that's pretty crazy to think, isn't it? So as in depth of size. So I'm keen to see it, and I know the guys have been talking about going up to Maryborough.
Yep. See, something like that
that'd be
incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
And that's Aussie hooligan.
Yeah.
Like, that's killer.
Yeah. It's going to be cool. And I think, the footage that I've seen, some of the photos and that same thing with Sultans of Slide, same as what you said.
Yeah. Looked
awesome.
epic.
Yeah, really, really cool. So hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen with that this year. There's a few issues around there. So
yeah, well, I mean, with anything like any category like that, it's so early on that if they want to get it off the ground, like you literally have to support any instance of it happening. You've got to, and I think, and they probably already are, but try and rope in people who've got Triumphs, who've got Kawasaki twins, like any twins,
Aprilia twins, whatever.
Aprilia twins, like just get as many twins into the fold as you can, because literally when you're getting something off the ground, anyone just wants to see
a numbers game, isn't it?
It's a numbers game, unfortunately.
Get there.
You can be super passionate about it, have a real good core group, but unless you keep bringing people in, then you venues want to see numbers
for sure. What was I going to say to you? Talking about Dust Hustle and the tracks.
Yeah,
we rode Ferg's bike that he races. He's done Dust Hustle in the last 5 years, maybe.
Yeah,
or 4 years.
Yeah, on that ridiculous Dyna.
Yeah. So we've been out today riding.
Yep.
That thing is a weapon, hey?
It is a weapon. So anyone who rides anything in the risky road bikes category has
Kudos.
my respect already. They're already a bit of a savage.
Yep.
That thing's almost like gone over the bell curve to, I think, where I'm like, Ferg's got screws loose, because that Gasoline Alley Dyna, that monster Dyna that he's built and rides at Phillip Island and also rides it on the dirt, is just it's a menace of a thing. Like it's almost, it's like uncaged.
Oh, it is. Like we went out for probably about 3 hours today for a ride, and I was supposed to hand it over maybe at halfway, and I didn't. I was sort of addicted to it. It's like it is a muscle car, but you end up getting
I went
a bit
for
of
a spin around the block, and that was enough to realise that I didn't have the hand strength to pull that clutch in for any longer.
I was addicted. Like it is the best. That thing is awesome. But absolute kudos to him for the last 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know he hates being mentioned on this, so I won't talk about it too long. But mate, that thing, kudos to him for riding that thing around the dirt for so long.
And that's probably like leads into the type of people that we like to be involved with at the event, because he is a event sponsor and he builds like the most ridiculous bike and gets out there and rides it himself. So that's like the type of thing, like that's a dream result for us, that if we can have people like that involved and supporting it, that's, because seeing him get around on that thing is just wild, especially now that I've ridden it and realised the big respect there for sure. I wouldn't survive on that thing. I would be in the elbow for sure.
Like I've always wanted to ride it. Today was day one.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ride that at Dust Hustle. So
no, there's no way I'd ride that thing on the dirt.
What did you ride today?
I rode the new 2020 Softail. I forget exactly which model it was, but it was one of the new Softails. I think it was might have been the Slim, Softail Slim.
So we had an eventful day. We had a cyclist decide to pedal up the hill, and poor guy derailed his chain halfway up the hill.
Yeah, he had about 200 cars behind him already, and the pressure was really mounting. And I don't know about you, but I was starting to see red. And then just at a crucial point in time, he decided to throw his chain off the chain ring and just stop everyone to a dead stop before the first car went around him.
Oh,
So-
one of the best mountain roads in a glorious day.
Yeah, it was a perfect place to do it. So
then-
everyone in that lineup is pro cyclists.
Yeah,
from
for
now
sure.
on. Yeah,
For sure.
yeah,
There's
they
like
love-
100 Shane Warnes down there. And then then I got ditched on the neutral race. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
All my sports bike mates, we've always done it at the same spot as the neutral race there.
Yep.
And just technique. You just beat me, mate.
Yeah, so absolutely chopped you on that. I don't win races ever, really.
Well, it's distance over speed.
Yeah, you gave me the hot tip,
Yeah.
and I got there. In the end, I used a sneaky tactic. I don't know if I should share it.
No, don't share it because I'm going to do it with another guest at some point.
Good. Okay.
So,
And it wasn't shifting into gear. But yeah, managed to win that one. So I'm stoked to win the inaugural, to be the inaugural title holder
it is.
there.
Yeah, inaugural title holder. So, I'm going to have to get up and get some more practice up there. Did you enjoy the ride, though?
I did enjoy the ride. That I was actually pretty keen to worked out well to ride that new Harley because it being that soft tail frame base that they have developed for a lot of their new models, I was sort of keen to see what it was like, and that's sort of the most stripped down version of it, I guess. So the most sort of raw and basic version of it. So I was really keen to see how that felt and how that rode, and it was super easy. And that's probably really the Ellispeed, custom bike side of things.
Yeah,
to see what it felt like, what it was like, but also from a marketing perspective, because like they're going through one of the Harley Davidson worldwide are going through one of the biggest brand redevelopments ever.
For sure.
Like they'll probably do case studies on this period of time for Harley Davidson in the future for marketing people, and whether it works out good or bad. But like we rode a Dyna, and when they killed off that model a few years ago and rolled all those sort of bikes into that soft tail frame, it was kind of like, okay, that's granted it was a monster Dyna we rode, but yeah, I was interested to sort of see that progression and see try this new frame that they were. This new platform, I guess, that they were basing a lot of stuff on. And they, like you have to evolve.
You got to evolve. Yeah.
They've come so far with a client base, for years and years and years, and getting people invested in the brand early, and it's a lifelong thing. Whereas now it's like you got to attract new people, and I'm all for it. Like I can't wait to see some of the new Harley models. I think it's a great exercise in developing a brand and how do you market. It's really tricky, and I love looking at what they're doing because as someone who does marketing and sort of looks after part of the Ellispeed brand, they're doing it on a massive scale where they've got this really core following, yet they're trying to bring new people into the fold without upsetting everyone else that's already there, and they've had these core bikes which essentially have been the same style of bike for years and years and years, and now they're going to bring in electric, and now they've got an adventure bike, and now they've got they're sort of bringing like Buell type bikes back in, and I think it's sick.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's going to be an interesting time. Chuck that in with a new CEO as well.
Yeah,
like it's so much change, and change to brands is really difficult.
Yeah, that's right, especially one with big history like that.
For sure. Iconic brand.
So like for me, we're a really small scale with Ellispeed, but it's still a brand that you want to try and continue to develop and evolve.
For sure.
And we're building, customizing bikes, and I think there's still lots to be learnt from what the big organisations with big money do.
Yep. Ellispeed. What could it grow into, or is there anything that it hasn't grown into, or what can it go to? Yeah,
so Ellispeed is just continues to evolve, and 7 years on now I've been there, and seen a lot of evolution in that time, and just like such an awesome place and such a good group of people to be a part of there. Steve and Leo are super smart and really switched on in terms of the direction that they're heading, and also the designers that they are. So everyone that's there, as well as Andy, Steve, Leo and Andy are all industrial designers. So that whole design side of thing is the real key part of Ellispeed, I guess. And that's why a lot of people will come to us for a bike, because it has design background in the build. That is part of it, and that's sort of a really key difference for us in terms of any other custom shop.
So they're all industrial designers?
Yeah. Yep. In the, apart from obviously the, Marshall that does some fab every now and then as well. Part-time fab, I guess. But then otherwise Steve and Leo, like all of us do some hours in the workshop. Yeah. Obviously my time in the workshop is limited to very rudimentary tasks because I'm a little desk jockey with my little office hands, as you get told.
My secretary hours.
Yeah, secretary chicken wings. So yeah, all let's do some time in the workshop because small business, everyone's got to wear the hat. You've got to, when things need to be done, everyone's got to chip in. But yeah, it continues to evolve, and our core is using that design background to build and to customize bikes for people. We don't do bikes to sell; they're all on commission. And then at the same time, using that experience from building bikes to develop custom products that can make a custom job easy by turning a custom job into a bolt-on product that isn't available already from a massive manufacturer.
Okay, so you're manufacturing parts and everything out of that as well, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. So we do, like, we're building on our own range of parts, which continues to evolve as new models come and go and all that kind of stuff. And, we are where we are now because, like, Steve and Leo have had that foresight to be able to look to where they want to be and then just to continue churning, because it's not a business where there's been like a big backer with millions of dollars that's just said, here's the cash, go ahead and do it, because there's hundreds of products and bikes that we want to build right now. And if we didn't have to rely on selling product or building bikes for other people, we'd do it. And there'd be some amazing stuff. Like, I've got no doubt about that. But as a small business, you gotta sell something to make something, and so just been on that grind, and we're lucky that we've been able to get to where we are through, I think, determination of people there and having a good crew that are willing to, go the extra mile to make it happen. So and great clients who are, will support a local business like that, like people that want to genuinely see that type of business in Australia. Yeah. And not just be like, see all these cool bikes getting built in Europe or the US, but, they can't go and visit a shop like that locally. Yep. So I think people that are willing to support small business in their own backyard, that's awesome. But also at the end of the day, you got to do good work. That, it wouldn't be anything without the good work the bikes that are built.
How did you originally take it in? Like, did you going there to work? Did you say the platform, say the social platform? Did you create all that yourself?
Yes.
How to post? There's a very stylistic approach, obviously, of how it is. Did you put that all together?
Pretty much, yeah. And that's sort of something that I guess I was lucky because the brand was so small when I started that you could sort of learn as you went. Whereas if I was jumping into Ella Speed right now, it'd be like, whoa, here's all this stuff you got to learn. We're sort of reasonably well established, I guess. So when you start off at the ground level, you're literally building it and trying it as the whole business is growing. So you can afford to make a few mistakes and evolve a few things there.
So there was some mistakes through the time?
Definitely, yeah. Still, I think as any business, you will still be making mistakes, especially if you just can't throw cash at stuff. Yeah. We are just so careful with anything that we spend, and if there's something that we can try for free, we'll try it. And, it might not work, but you've got to try and use any avenue you can to, whether that's marketing, whether that's developing parts, there's some things you can't not spend money on. Yep. But small business, you just try and save money wherever you can to keep going, to keep the doors open. Yeah,
it's a tough world.
It is.
It really is. So especially, as you say, if you had an endless budget, Arc motorcycles with Keanu Reeves one.
Oh, yeah.
Arch, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, same thing. They'd have their struggles as well. But you look at the machinery, I watch I really like their style.
Yep.
Look at the machinery. I look what they're building, the tickets.
Incredible.
The budget that must be there is ridiculous.
Yeah. So, and to be able to build a bike that costs $100,000.
Yep.
To be able to front that cost
straight away,
and then sit on that as an asset until someone potentially buys it.
Maybe.
As a small business, you can't.
You can't do it.
We'd love to do that. We would love to build a bike. And that is probably something that in the next few years we're working towards.
A real feature sort of bike.
Yeah, because Steve and Leo did that that's how they got started. They just built two bikes as a industrial design side project, and someone saw them and were like, can we put them in an art gallery? And then they went in the art gallery and someone saw them in the gallery and were like, can you build me a bike? and then
Really?
that's how it started.
Yeah.
You know, so they just built two bikes that they wanted to build as two designers, and you know, no input, no worry about cost or anything. They just built them, and they still own those two bikes. They're still in the shop, and yeah, it sort of grew from there. But literally, since those first two, Ellerspeed hasn't done that really since then. Like, you know, sort of has, but hasn't really done anything that grand again. Yeah.
What's Ellerspeed stand for?
The short story is, because I've been babbling so much already, Ella is like the girl, the beauty, and speed, even though it's spelt differently, is like speed and riding.
Okay.
So it was literally bikes that looked amazing, were designed and were aesthetically beautiful, but they have to be ridden. Like, they have to run.
Yep.
They're not just like, you know, a bike that you build and it never doesn't have anything inside, or it doesn't run or something. Like, it has to
It
has
can't
to
be
function.
just an art piece. It's got to move.
It's got to run. Like, you've got to be able to register it. Like, you see a lot of bikes that don't have indicators or tail tidies or, you know, mirrors or whatever. Like, that's all the stuff that when, you know, even when a factory designer designs a motorcycle, they don't put anything of that on. You see this concept, you're like, oh, that's killer. I'm definitely buying one of those. Take my money, pre-order. And then when it comes to production version, it's got reflectors and lights and indicators and junk hanging off all over it to get it to pass ADRs and Euro 4s and all this other stuff, which is safe and appropriate. But then you get that bike and then you do a custom build and you try and pair all that back to maybe what
you first seen.
What maybe a factory designer first saw, what the client first saw when they saw it in their mind, or what they first saw and then with their own interpretation, because every custom bike is a reflection of the person who it's built for or who builds it. That's why I think they're so great, because like, if you're riding a bike, if you've even changed the indicators, like, it says something about you, because, you know, if someone says, oh, why'd you change the indicators? You tell them something like, oh, I didn't like this. This is something, you know, like, it's a reflection on who you are. Like, if you go up and there's 10 people in a row with all factory bikes, you know, you can't tell all those people apart apart from, oh, they like to ride an adventure bike. But if, you know, the 11th person has got a custom bike, it's like, oh, this guy likes this, he likes that, he's got these type of tires, he's got this on. And as soon as you talk to them, they could probably tell you all the reasons why they built that bike, why they did, you know, where they saw this, that, or the other. And it's sort of straight away you've got this, you know, insight into who they are as a motorcycle enthusiast, who they are as a rider, which I think is really cool. It's a really nice, like, insight into
sort of their brain.
Into people, into motorbike riders.
Ah. That makes sense. I've never actually really thought of it too much like that.
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
you know?
that's I guess that's the custom. That's like a reflection of maybe why people do custom stuff, but for aesthetic and performance reasons. If you come from a racing background, a lot of the custom stuff there is purely for speed.
There's one reason. Yeah.
So if you see a custom race bike, you know that anything on there is just because this person wants to go really fast.
Yeah, there's drilled holes in this. Or there's a reason for it.
Yeah,
you know?
all right, this person's a lunatic.
Yeah, this person's a nutter. So,
whereas, if you see like a custom street bike, there might be go fast bits on it, but there'll be other stuff on it as well, which is down to personal preference or down to because they had an injury and they need, you know, whatever.
Yep.
Or because they saw something on Instagram and that looked sweet.
And you see that a lot.
Yeah, well, I am a very visual person. Like, I loved the look of a parallel twin motor before I rode a bike with a parallel twin motor. Like, I'd never ridden an XS650 before I bought one.
Yeah. Do you like those TRXs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like those.
Yeah, so they're like
those
what are they, a V?
Parallel twin.
Are they? TRX?
Yeah, 270 degree crank.
Yeah, okay.
Parallel 840 something cc.
Yeah.
Beautiful motor.
They sound amazing.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they sound like a V-twin.
Yes.
But yeah, parallel twin. They had them in the TDM as well. 850 was adventure bike.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, pretty cool motor.
Yep.
So good donor motor for other projects and that sort of thing. So
that's a big old parallel twin.
It is. Yeah. So might be one for you as the next phase.
Yeah, the evolution of my parallel twin ownership.
Yeah. I want to put my journo hat on.
Yeah, please.
I want to get really serious here.
Okay.
Do we have a date for another event?
We have got a postponed date for DH10, which was QMP, which I really want to make that happen because that's the big 1-0, the Big Ten. Like,
Yep.
never thought we'd get there. So that's postponed. DH11 is still set for the 10th of October. So I don't know if that will happen on that date or we'll have to postpone that as well. But I'd really, like, all of us really want to run both.
Yep.
Like, people look forward to them every year. We look forward to them every year.
Yep.
We really want to run both. Whether it's like back-to-back weekends,
Yeah, right.
who knows?
Yep.
Like, if we can do something, we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we'll make it happen. Like, we changed on Facebook, like, we postponed all the DH10 stuff, and on Facebook, you can't postpone the date just to nothing. You just have to pick another date.
Yeah, right.
So Leo's like, just put it on Christmas Day because everyone will know that that's not going to happen.
Do you reckon
And
everyone would know that?
we can just put it then for
Yep.
the time being and tell people it's postponed. You know, and then we'll change it back to the proper date. I was like, that's a great idea. So we put it on Christmas Day, and all these people were like, still coming, best Christmas ever.
I was going to say, do you reckon people really would? No.
Bring in the family.
I'm not going to the family thing. I'm going to go Dust Hustle.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, well, turkey lunch at Dust Hustle, I guess. Yeah, imagine that.
People are funny, eh?
We'll get Ray to dress up as Santa Claus. I wonder if he'd be up for that.
He'd be keen for that, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't know if we can afford to pay him to.
Yeah, command a fair fee. So,
Rightly
okay, so there is dates there.
There's
everything
dates
like that.
there. We definitely don't want to.
It's just a law thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's kind of like because we get over 100 riders at each event, and we get like a minimum of 1,000 spectators at QMP, and then over 2,000 at North Brisbane.
Yep.
It's like, you know, maybe we could get to a point where we could have it with enough riders, like we would be able to have all the riders there, but we wouldn't be able to let anyone else in. And it's kind of like, oh, you know, so we just have to sort of look at whether we could actually financially still do that without spectator income, I guess, because we still have to be able to cover the costs, I guess, at the end of the day. So we would love to do it. We're just going to try and whatever way we can cut it. You know, it might be absolutely sweltering in the middle of summer, but if everyone's keen, then we'll still try and make it happen. Yeah.
Cool. What about, how did you get involved in Day in the Dirt?
So Day in the Dirt came about, we just got a call up because the Day in the Dirt format in the US is that they have the big motocross track and then they have Hell on Wheels over there, which is like a vintage TT race as part of it. And that's like the Day in the Dirt format. So when it came to Australia, they were like, okay, well, we can definitely do a big motocross thing. We have no idea how to do, like, you know, the rest of it, the little wild sidetrack thing. So they sort of looked around and found Dust Hustle and called us up and said, hey, you guys do this Dust Hustle thing. Have you heard of Day in the Dirt as a part of it, you know? So we sort of were like, awesome, let's let's do, it's kind of like a mini expose of Dust Hustle. I don't know. Yeah. Like it's a mini version of it because the track we get to use is tiny, but we make it so that it's like tiny but awesome. And people absolutely love it because it's like something so different to the rest of the event. Like that's like a race event, but it's like the party race event. So and we're kind of like a non-race event, but we're kind of hopefully like the party non-race event. So we sort of meet there. So a whole lot of like motocrossers find out about Dust Hustle, and a whole lot of people who go to Dust Hustle are like, this Day in the Dirt event's awesome. And, you know, we want to sort of watch more of these people who know what they're doing on the dirt rip on motocross tracks. So,
so it's from a call up, eh?
From a call up, So they just, it was sort of a, you know, and I think it was sort of people knew what we were doing. So that's how they were able to, you know, say, hey, look, you know, I don't know how conversations happen, but they happen, and our sort of name got mentioned as something that could fit in, and then got the call. So we were stoked.
Well, that track that you had there last year,
yeah,
I think I only rode the big track once. The rest of the time I spent there.
On that.
Oh, mate, that was the best fun.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It was like we only had a small space, but you just got to make
the most of it.
Make the most of it. And, you know, if the vibe is right, then
it's perfect. Yeah, I think
we'll enjoy it.
It was 3 days, wasn't it?
Friday, 3 days,
Friday RV, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, so massive event.
Huge event.
Yep.
So, and then drags, obviously, the night time, and then Saturday night, Speedway.
Mini Speedway, because they do that in the US as well.
Was that your event?
No, that's like, it's part of Day in the Dirt, the Mini Speedway. They always have that at the Day in the Dirt events in the States.
Right.
But so over here, that was the space, like it was the D8, the Dust Hustle Mini Speedway, because that was the best place for it.
Yep.
And
That was crazy.
It was loose. Like
It was, yeah.
it's that's the thing. Like that's the thing that's so great about people who ride motorbikes. It's
Yep.
like here is this tiny circle.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, well, we're going to make the most of this shit.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to go absolutely berserk on this tiny circle you've provided for us.
It's like somebody's front yard.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's like, 1,000 people about to watch us, so I'm going to lay down this tiny circle.
Yeah. And
You
they
know?
did. Everyone did.
Oh,
Anthony
so
West
good.
came out there. Do you remember Anthony West coming out?
Was he the guy on that two-stroke?
Yeah. He
The-
came out on a YZ250, I think.
I think it was
he came out.
125.
It just, I think he rode a couple of different things,
Ah.
but he didn't ride all weekend, I
Yeah.
don't think. I think he just put it out there for that.
Yeah.
And it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, the guy's ridden MotoGP, so you just expect it anyway. You see it at the Dust Hustle
Oh.
events when Gary McCoy comes out
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
another level anyway.
Yeah.
Chris Vermillion and stuff. But yeah, that afternoon, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about
The sun's going down.
Yep.
The moisture's rising.
it's awesome, eh?
It's prime time.
There's a few
for
beers
riding.
happening.
It's prime time.
Yeah, that was good.
All
That
your
was
mates
a fun
around
event.
heckling you on.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
heckling. So
So
do you-
that's a great event. Yeah.
Yeah,
One
it
that
is.
we're stoked to be part of. Our events have a slightly different vibe.
Yep.
Because there's no way we could pull something that big and that,
It's a large scale, isn't it?
yeah, that's like next level. And it's good for us. We learn a lot from that.
Do you ever see that you could do a 2-day?
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
Sure.
That'd be big though, wouldn't
Never say never.
it? Never. Yeah.
Yep, we could do it.
Just got to get through Saturday night.
Yeah, yeah. Like I feel like I get too many grey hairs just from one day,
Yeah.
let alone 2 days.
Mm.
But yeah, like if we could, we would do it. Like, you
Yep.
know, if everyone doesn't break their bikes in the first day,
And get through Saturday night.
get through Saturday
somewhere.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be sweet.
Friday night's the Friday night fever. That's
Isn't it, Pat?
the
It's a
real
thing.
sneaky one. That's the yeah.
Especially when everyone's just catching up.
Oh,
So you catch up
Catching
once a
up.
year or twice a year.
and the excitement of the next day's riding.
Yeah. You just get carried
is-
away.
Yeah.
So last year you went out to Fink.
Yes.
Exactly this time last year.
I was at Fink.
Was that
right
your
now
first time?
Last year, it was my first time.
Crazy?
Yep. Incredible event.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's that whole trip started because we wanted to go to like do a big Australia trip, Amy and I. And yeah, so we did a big road trip. We did 8,500 kilometers. Did a whole bunch of stuff, and then when we were in the centre of Australia, we lined it up to watch Fink as well. Two of my, I'm horrible with like cousins and uncle stuff. Amy always rips me about it, but cousins' husbands just happened to be riding the event as well.
Yep.
I just call them my cousins.
That's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but they're both legends and they're
Yep.
both really good mates now. And they were riding it. So it was like that worked out well that they were going to be out there. They had a whole crew of people going with them. So we sort of tacked onto the back of that and met them all out there. But Fink as a motorcycle enthusiast, like even if you are not into dirt riding, that is like the MotoGP in Australia of off-road racing. Like you have to go to that event. Like it is so sick.
It's good, hey?
It is incredible. And go for the full 3 days. Go to the night markets on the Thursday or whatever, when all the stuff's lined up in town and all the locals get behind it. They just froth it. Everyone's so friendly out there. And people put so much effort into it because it's once a year and they're really proud of it out there. And it's just, it's an incredible event. It's wild how when you get out there, how rough and, the track is and how grueling it would be to ride that event.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. And the other thing I would say is that is like, as someone who has run a few events, like I literally a few, that is not an event now that you could start, I don't think. Like you couldn't say, I'm going to go and start an event like Fink right now.
Because it's ingrained in the culture, it'll stay.
Yes.
But you couldn't do it from the scratch.
There's no way you could have an event like that.
Why?
It's just, you get out there and you see how rough that track is and how much it is just like the Wild West once they get out of the start gates. It is just a tough event. Like anyone who rides that event is an absolute savage on a dirt bike, guys and girls. They are incredible. And it's so good to watch, but like, it's just so wild. It's just, and that's the great thing about it, and that's why it's like such a special event for Australia, I think, because it's just a wild good time.
And it's internationally renowned too.
Yeah,
it's a,
that's right.
A sprint desert race, you know.
Yep.
It's everybody knows of it.
It's so unique in so many different parts of it. And I'm not a desert race fanatic whatsoever. Like, I love watching Dakar. I might watch a few highlights of US desert races. But now, like, Fink stuff, like, I'll follow that forever now, like, that I've been there. It's incredible.
Wow.
Like, and the same thing. Like, you watch riders doing the Fink track from a helicopter or something, you're like, wow, they're flying. And then you go out there and stand on the side of the track and watch them go past, and you're just like, the appreciation is incredible. Yeah.
And do you get to see, like, I know this is really, really vague, but do you get to see much?
Yeah. Yeah,
there's a lot to see.
It's interesting because you think, oh, it's 230 kilometers of track, and once they go past, they're gone, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, like, you get to see so much because they have like the scrutineering night, and it's that level of event where you can just walk through all the bikes and touch them and the vehicles. It's it's so like open like that.
Yep.
The prologue, you see the start and finish. There's like a stadium section of track where you can watch a section of that. But because there's so many entrants, you see the pros go and you see them, but then there's just people coming in and people crashing and people coming in with flat tires and wrecked buggies and all the rest of it. So there's always something to see there. And then you've got the down and back days. You go find your favourite part out in the track and you stand there and you just watch them haul past, and they're coming for hours. Like, there's so many of them.
Yep.
You can move and go somewhere else further down the track and then set up there and watch that.
Something the whole time.
Something the whole time. And then when there's no one on the track, you've got everyone there that's supporting it, just going absolutely ballistic in the town, on the track, at the Fink end, like just having...
Because people party pretty hard too.
They party like really hard. Yeah.
Sounds
like, you're
awesome.
out in the middle of the...
You're in the desert.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine?
Had you been out there before? No, not to the race, but just,
No.
Special
Never.
place?
Yeah. We went to Katajuta, Uluru, and that was incredible.
Yep.
Just an amazing place, and did a whole lot of stuff in Central Australia, and it's just like, we're in an amazing country.
We're lucky to live here.
So lucky.
Yep.
It actually, like, a part of me was like, I need to go to Central Australia. This is going to sound like way deeper than anything I've ever said. But I went overseas last year and actually did a motorbike trip in Peru. I told everyone I was pre-running for the Dakar, but I wasn't. Year before last? Last year? Year before last, because I went to Fink last year.
Yeah, right.
With some really great friends of Amy and I's. Shout out to Beck and Josh, legends.
Yeah. So Amy and you went?
Amy and I went. So we both went, and Amy went with her friend Beck and did a hiking tour. And I roped in a few of my mates, Burjo and Sam, who taught me to ride.
Oh, yeah? Yep.
And we did this motorbike tour of Peru, and that was just before the last Dakar in South America or whatever.
Wow.
So, we pretended like we were pre-running the Dakar route on our XR 250s.
How'd you go?
Slow.
Yeah.
Really slow. Didn't crash, though.
That's a good thing.
That was good. But went there, went to another country, went to Machu Picchu, which was incredible, wonder of the world, man-made wonder of the world, and was standing there looking at this place and was like, this is freaking incredible. Like, how did they build this so long ago? But when I was there, I was like, I've never even been to Katajuta. Like, never been to Uluru. And I've come so far around the world to come to this place. And I was actually ashamed of myself as an Australian. I was like,
do you think that's
I
an
need
age
to go
thing?
there.
Do you think that's like, because you get a bit oblivious to it as well? Like,
definitely.
Annie and I were talking about the other day, like we've been to a few different places around the world.
Yep.
And like, same thing, we haven't been there. And it's like, you feel guilty.
You do.
Know? You're like, why did I go all the way? Probably at the moment, especially.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got all this space here. I really want to see more of this,
Yeah.
So
it's like, it's our country, like, and the people out there are amazing.
Yep.
Like,
so it was incredible.
It was incredible, man. There's some amazing history in Australia, and you don't realise until you get out there and see it.
So what'd you do? 8,000 Ks?
Yeah, 8,500 Ks.
That's a few.
Yeah, in 3 weeks.
Yeah, right.
So it was
not
good.
in the 200 SX.
No, in the Amarok.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Didn't do it in
because you would have had it around the same time. I'm guessing it would have been sale time.
Still had it. Yeah. Still had it. So I was going to take it, but I thought, no.
I'll take that.
I thought, how good would it be just, frying a set of tyres at the base of...
Chucking the handbrake on.
Yeah. I'll show these bloody desert races a thing or two, just screaming down the access road in the 200.
Saturday night drift.
Yeah. Just light them up in the night markets.
So for Australia, you got to do the 2 premium events, off-road and road, last year.
Did Fink and MotoGP in the 1 year. So my wife, Amy, is just the best ever. I'm so lucky.
So your first Fink and your first MotoGP.
First MotoGP
in the same year.
Same year.
What was better?
That's an excellent question.
Oh, thanks, mate. I researched for hours for that one.
Yeah. They both, which I mentioned to you earlier on the ride, provided something really different. I almost think that Fink could have been better because it had so like the people out there, you know, like it's like the people out there are incredible. And they really love, like that's their home event. It feels like a real Australian owned event because it doesn't happen anywhere else.
Yep.
MotoGP was amazing from a different perspective, even though it's it's on an Australian circuit and, we went through the museum, it was designed and we, all that is incredible history to that track as an Australian icon. But it's kind of like this amazing big show that comes to town from other parts of the world. Yeah. So, I liked them for different things. But, I think Fink is that desert race. And I know I probably lean towards, like, I ride probably dirt bikes more than I ride road bikes, apart from riding to work. So I probably like the off-road stuff. And it's got cars as well. So there's a few things, influencing the decision.
But both of them just good events.
Amazing. Yeah. Like must do both. Like we'll do both again. As anyone that's into bikes or even motorsport in general, like you will be stoked on both of them. Even if you're not into motorsport, like
just cows, just that town.
Cows,
just being out there.
Great town.
Just being there.
Pino's Italian. Amazing place.
Damn it, it's been 2 years. So we were supposed to go last year and I think I got food poisoning or something. I had tickets and everything. I had everything set and missed out. But next year.
Is it going to... Was last year Rossi's last race though? Or
supposed to be. I'm a huge Rossi fan too.
Wow.
Because
he was going to be there this year, but...
Yeah, there's some rumours that he's signed another contract with Petronas.
Oh, okay.
On a separate, because his factory seat's gone for next year. That's set.
Yeah.
So maybe in a satellite team on a factory bike.
Yeah.
For 2021, and for a fan like myself, I'd kick myself for missing last year. And I've been lucky enough to go to 10 or 12 GPs.
Yep.
But I'd like to see his last one.
Yeah,
I really would. So
and I didn't really understand. Like I watched a lot of I watch MotoGP on TV. I love it.
Yep.
I didn't really understand. I didn't really grasp the whole Valentino Rossi fan base thing, and it's not even that wild in Australia. But until I got there and like saw it, and I can tell you right now, I feel like one of the key things, like one of the key things that I identified, and this is what I'm going to look. Jack Miller, you need to do this. Valentino Rossi, wherever I was standing on the track, after every practice session on the in-lap, just doing wheelies everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone was frothing on it. Yeah. No one else was doing wheelies. I think Jack Miller might have done one or two, so he's on the right track.
He's on the right path.
He's on the right path.
Yeah.
Aussie legend.
For sure.
And he got on the podium, so that was incredible. Yeah. But yeah, Rossi, just popping wheelies out of every corner and just like waving to the crowd, and I was like, is this why this guy's so popular? Like obviously he's won a lot, but he is just the people's champion. Like everyone else was just riding the in-lap, probably thinking about what they did or which Spanish boss is going to scream at them when they get in there because their data sucks.
Yep.
But I was like, I like a wheelie. I like to see a wheelie. And when Rossi was doing it, I'm like, I'm on the bandwagon. You know, like sign me up. Get me my fluoro yellow VR.
Yeah.
Get that shit on me.
Get me my $200 t-shirt with a $60 cap.
Yeah. Or you just go down to Cows and buy one from last year.
Yeah. For $100 and $35. So no, it is a bandwagon. Like the Rossi thing at that time was just a huge thing.
Yeah.
His days sort of faded a bit now.
Yeah.
But the guy is 41 or whatever. Like he's done everything in the sport. He's still competitive.
Still up there. Still like a personality.
Yep. Still copping shit from heaps of fans too.
Still copping shit. Still
I don't understand that, to be honest.
He's done a lot for... Yeah. And I just think for him, he has been able to pivot his riding style from an era where they weren't hanging off the bike. You know, you look at him riding against like Max Biaggi.
Yep.
His riding style,
a
and then you look
different
at
human.
him, same corner.
Yep.
How can you learn something professionally
Yep.
and get to the pinnacle of it, and then these guys come in and you have to change the whole way you ride and still be
Yep.
at, like, he still won championships in that different riding style.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's impressive.
And the different eras of the bike. So he started on the 500 two-stroke,
Yeah.
then the 990,
Yep.
did that for a few years. Honda, then Yamaha, then the 800, and then obviously the back to 1,000 now. I think it is back to that now.
Yep.
Like it is, he's
Being able to
without
adapt.
being the fanboy, and I am.
Yep.
It's incredible. Like Marc Marquez at the moment has done the same thing as what he did at this, like Rossi did in the early 2000s.
Yep.
But
Same. The machinery hasn't changed as much.
Not
and
as
the
much.
riding style hasn't changed as much.
nah, and I think that's with all sports too. We're at a
Yeah.
pinnacle of sport. Like we're at everything's just so well refined now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where you go to from here.
Well, they got to that point in enduro bikes when they made the KDX 200. So
you love the KDX 200.
It's like, where do you go from there?
So did you do
Absolutely.
a transmoto on that?
I did a transmoto. Somehow
Conradale?
I got talked into doing Conradale transmoto with all the moderns.
Was that last year?
Yep, on the vintage. They don't even have a vintage class. We were in the like open modern category.
Wow.
AKA like
Yeah.
idiots. But that was excellent event. Like if you
Yeah.
that's like that perfect mix between like that's a race that I'm not a racer, but I would do that race
For sure.
because it's like they've got that perfect mix. Like transmoto events are so polished; they've been doing them so long now.
Yep.
Their team is so good at what they do that they get the vibe right, they get the race aspect of it right.
Yep.
So I was happy to get roped into that. So we did that on a full vintage team of bikes, and they were all under 200cc. And the biggest thing that surprised me about that event was people on modern bikes not just like blowing our doors off every single chance they got and like cleaning us out of corners. Like they were surprisingly respectful.
It's pretty cool.
It was a real big surprise to me. I thought I was like, I'm going to get cleaned out
Yeah.
heaps because I'm not riding fast. Like Jeff Ballard's got a KDX 200. That's how I know he's an absolute legend.
Has he?
Yeah. That's a separate story, how I know that. But if I was Jeff Ballard riding and I could sort of match it with some, middle rank person on a modern, you'd be fine. But I'm not Jeff Ballard riding KDX 200.
Not many people are Jeff Ballard.
No, that's true. Like, you need the mustache and you need the talent, but not many people have either. So I think, and that is the vibe of those events that, people were willing to, like if there was a section of single, they were willing, even though they were racing and some of them were right at the pointy end, they were willing to wait behind. I crashed in front of a dude and he just center punched my exhaust and like fell off. And I was like, and he wasn't cut about it, like I literally caused him to crash.
Yep.
Because I on a hill climb right in front of him.
Yeah, right.
And he was completely fine about it and carried on his way. And I was like, props to you, man.
Good event.
Yeah.
Have you had much to do with Robbie?
Robbie Warden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He makes the event.
He's a legend. He's a legend.
Like, I don't know how somebody can talk on a microphone.
He's got some good chat on him, Robbie.
He does.
He's got some really good chat. So he came and rode Dust Hustle at Vedadabar.
Oh, did
back
he?
in the day. Yeah. He came and rode that. So that's how we sort of knew the whole Dust Hustle, the Dust Hustle sort of thing, I guess. And that's how we sort of met, I guess, and then have kept in touch since then.
Awesome. He's going to be one of our guests coming up pretty soon. So
I can't wait.
It's going to be interesting because he makes those events for me.
Yeah.
Like just being on the microphone and just the way, I don't know, it just keeps it calm.
Yep.
Keeps a good flow and it should be fun.
Yeah, and I think like that, like if you got someone like him that can, get a set of vibe, it permeates the event and makes a big difference. And when Robbie's on here, you can ask him about how he came up with the idea for the big Transmoto sign in white letters, because I'm sure he told me he stole that idea from Dust Hustle, but
you heard it here first. So
that's probably the only thing he would take away from our
Dust
event.
Hustle?
Yeah, it was our flash white Hollywood sign.
that is an iconic sign. Wow, that's so old Robbie. He's
Good
we're going to
man.
get him on very, very soon.
I look forward to listening to that.
Should be a good one.
Yeah.
KDX, when's it coming out of the shed?
I've been giving it. I took it off the road over Christmas and did a bit of a refresh. And lucky COVID happened because I was nowhere near finished. So I've just
Very lucky COVID.
greased the bearings and I rebuilt the suspension and there was a big old crack in the swing arm. And that's the thing I really like about vintage enduro and vintage motorbikes because I like to tinker and it provides ample opportunity to do that. So yeah, you can do a bit of tinker. Plus, that level of bike is like more than I need. Like this is a 34-year-old 200cc, and that's about a good match for my ability.
Yeah.
And if I don't ride the thing for 6 months, it's probably going to go up in value.
Yeah.
Whereas if I have a modern bike and I don't ride it for like 10 seconds, I am feeling guilty that it's just devaluing, like, it's going out of fashion
All the
quicker
time.
than my haircut, like it's just going downhill real quick. So that's the good thing about vintage bikes.
Yep.
So, they don't cost as much, and the people at vintage events are real friendly.
Yep.
Like I think a lot of people at vintage events are older, and if they see young people come in, they're happy if you're there for the vintage bikes. Like if you're a gun racer and you just blow in on someone's CR500 and roost everyone's face and then never come back, they'll never talk to you. But if you go there, and now that I've been to a few events, and they're like, this guy's into it, it's cool. They're sort of, probably because I'm not beating anyone, they're happy about that too.
Yeah, they don't like that probably.
But there's so many people there that I got to the first event. My first ever vintage race was at Conondale. I managed half of the siding lap before I broke my bike. I still had the best weekend ever. Like
What'd you break?
I broke the shifter return spring inside the gearbox, so the shifter was just stayed down. And a better rider probably could have done the whole race in second gear. Wasn't me. That was the event that Jeff Ballard was at with his KDX 200. Ended up winning his class with my front brake because his didn't work.
I can't believe he's got a green machine in the shed.
There were two KDXs just bookending the field. He was at one end, I was at the other, and then part of my bike was on his bike and he won, so I'm essentially a winner.
Yeah. You're part of the Jeff Ballard team.
Yeah.
Iconic machine.
Yeah,
iconic
I'm still
rider.
waiting for my mustache to come in the mail.
Oh, that's a solid note, hey?
I love it.
I can't. I honestly didn't think he'd have a KDX 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, it's the greatest trail bike ever built, and he's probably the greatest trail rider, so...
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The shoe fits, I guess.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? You're a bit of a tinkerer. Do you reckon you'd want to tinker on my 96 CR250 that I've been procrastinating on for 10 years?
I think you should definitely tinker on that.
Nah, do you want to tinker?
Well, it's not green.
Nah.
So...
Well, it's not nothing at the moment.
I'm sort of a Kawasaki and Yamaha tinkerer. My wife Amy loves a Honda though.
Really?
She's a big Roxon fan.
Is she a powder coater?
I'm a big... Is she? No, she's not.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, I know.
I need to find myself a good powder coater.
I've got one. You talk to me after this. I'll
Okay.
give you his details. I think we should get that, and I think we should rope you into riding a Dust Hustle on it.
Yeah, I'd like to. It will. It'll happen. So
96 250.
it's a weapon.
That's a good
It's a good machine. So yeah,
That'd have some killer graphics for it too. I'm all about the graphics of that era.
definitely. We've got a pattern already been in the making.
Ooh, I like the sound
so
of that.
we got something happening with it, but I don't know. It's been. I've spoken to you about it for the good part of 5 years probably now about building it, and
I'll start turning the screws on you then.
I've got to have it. I've got to have it done. So it's getting to the point where it's sort of just sitting there without the spark plug in it now. So there's air getting in the motor.
Oh, good.
So I need to actually get it happening.
Yeah, air and moisture just getting in there for a good look around those piston rings and
perfect for it.
just see if they can introduce into the bloody sleeve.
Yeah, it'll be great for it.
Permanently.
So I've got to do it. It's just sitting there. It's a project that's got to take place. But
Good.
The trouble is they're easy projects.
Well,
It's just time and money, but they're not hard projects really to complete. So, what do you see for yourself coming up? What's your future hold?
I just want to, keep pushing on with obviously Ella Speed and Dust Hustle, both two amazing, professional things, which is really cool to be a part of, and just keep like great team at Ella Speed and have met so many great people through Dust Hustle. So just, like we're still heading in really good directions in both of those areas. So just want to keep doing that and just keep like, I think for me, like trying to, probably ride more events. And I think and probably, like I said a few years ago, I started doing a few vintage enduro races and literally have been coming last or close to. But I think that's, like enjoying it because there's so many good events out there, and I feel like not enough people do that because they're like, I'm not going to win, I'm not going to do well, so they just don't do it. It's like, just go to events because otherwise they're not going to be around. So probably just enjoying doing some riding. I've been enjoying a lot of mountain biking lately, and just doing stuff like that. Amy and I just bought a house at the end of last year, so doing a bit of tinkering there. Like I've become surprisingly addicted to maintaining a lawn.
Wow.
Never thought I'd do that. I was spraying for bugs in the dark the other night. Like,
Oh, you got lawn grubs?
who am I? Yeah, we had some. I think they're dead
Crazy.
now. Like,
Yeah.
like I never knew what lawn grubs are. I never wanted to know.
Yeah.
Now, like, I care about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Like,
they're out and about too. It's been a bad season for lawn grubs.
Yeah, like,
Bit of trivia for you.
yes, apparently it has.
Yeah, it has,
Just
actually.
when I start caring about lawn, worst season.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Bunnings ran out of the stuff that kills
Oh.
it. So this is probably really entertaining listening for anyone that's
So
listening. A bit self-indulgent.
We've got to that point.
Mountain biking, how many Ks are you pumping out a week?
So I was training. I am one of those people where if I've got something,
Yep.
yeah, I like how you ask me a question and I just don't answer it. I just go off in this spiel and then eventually, like 25 minutes later, we get back to the
quite
actual
good, isn't
answer. Yeah.
That's how you can have a 3-hour podcast.
I reckon I'm doing like 30 Ks a week. I don't know. So yeah, I'm one of those people that if I sign up for something,
Yep.
then I can commit to it. Like I've always had it running. Amy likes doing a bit of running, so I do some fun runs with her. If
Yep.
we sign up for it, I'm like, I'll train for this shit.
Yep.
I wanted to do, I said I actually lived in Cairns for a year of my life when I was really young
Yep.
and had a whole lot of family up there. And I know it's a mecca for mountain biking. Like there's some really good stuff up there. So I was like, what's a good excuse to go up there? There's this 4-day mountain bike race up there, reef to reef.
Yep.
So I was like, great. Roped in some friends to do that last year. Amy actually told me about it. Best wife ever. She's like, you should go to this. I was like, you're amazing.
That's awesome.
Let's get married again.
Yeah.
And
Just do it each year.
Yeah. Well, she keeps coming up with goods like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep her around.
She's lucky too.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
not as lucky, but so I signed up for Reef to Reef, and
Yep.
then start doing training because that's how I work. So like, if something's booked in, like I was always doing a bit of mountain biking,
Yep.
but that was good to like, okay, this is on. Let's start training. Roped in some mates, and then we just had this good crew. And now it's been cancelled, but we've got this good crew of people who are riding, so we're
Yep.
just still training.
doing it.
We're still just doing it. Like we're not going as ham, but we're still training. So I'd probably try and do like 2 rides a week.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Like one, probably do like between 30 and 40 Ks a week. Not much.
Okay. Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah. Not a bloody regular.
Not Troy Bayliss at the moment. It's pumping out.
Troy Bayliss is like a T1000. Like he's a Terminator.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be surprised if one day like someone goes past me on a motorbike and his arm turns into a big liquid metal thing and just pulls him back because he is an absolute weapon.
Because didn't he? I think he won Reef to Reef last year. One of the classes.
He definitely would have won his class because he came like 3rd or 4th overall. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Someone told me that.
And that was the event you were going to do.
Yeah, so I would have smoked him this year.
Yeah.
Lucky Troy is surviving
Lucky he
another
got
year.
canned.
Yeah, lucky he
Yeah.
got canned. I'm coming for you next year, buddy.
Man,
No, I'll
he
definitely
puts
be
the
at
miles in.
opposite ends of the spectrum. Yeah. Yeah, my cousin Mike was like, definitely do not follow him on Strava because he will make you feel like the worst. Like
Yeah.
he'll make you feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So
You
I
don't
don't.
feel like a piece of
So I
shit.
don't follow him on
Nah.
Strava.
So
I'm not going to do it to myself.
Have you got any King of Mountains at the moment?
Probably on like a section where I left it on and drove home in the car or something.
Yeah, cool.
Nowhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like again, my mountain biking, I love it and I love to do it.
Yep.
Not amazing at it.
Yeah, okay.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a good sport. It's an
Great
awesome sport, eh? So,
It's a great sport, and I think a whole nother can of worms is e-mountain bikes, which
ooh, here we go.
I don't even think we should get into.
No,
that.
you've got to tell me now.
Well, I'm for it.
Okay.
I'm for it. I think it's amazing. I think it's going to get 1 million people into mountain biking, because if you're not crash hot, you can still shred with your mates.
Yep.
Because you can, if your mates are regular,
Yep.
Nino Schurter or Jared Graves, Australian legend, Troy Brosnan, you can still ride with them.
Yep.
Not obviously on the downhill, but you can still keep up with them on the uphill, and it'll just make it so much more accessible. And if you've got an hour during the week, you can go for a shred and pump out twice as many trails as you used to do. Like if you don't have time to pull out your motorbike on the weekends,
Yep.
you can throw this thing in the ute and probably drive half an hour to your local trails rather than a couple of hours to wherever you ride, and just still get the trail time on something that bridges the gap between a bike and a motorbike.
Definitely.
It's going to be huge. I've ridden a couple. I'm so stoked on them. If I had the money, I'd have one already.
Same here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
I
amazing.
love them. I got to ride Troy's.
Of course you did. Did you have a Ducati one? Did you
Yeah,
have a Ducati?
it's called a THOC, THOK.
Yeah.
I just want to pronounce that right.
Good, yeah.
So it's a THOC MIG.
Yep.
And
Sounds expensive and fast. at
oh
the same
mate,
time.
that was my first e-bike I got on.
Well, yeah. Where are you going to go from there?
And I'm like, I was just looking at taking a photo of this thing.
Yeah.
He's like, he's really open. You want to ride it? I'm like, I don't
Yes.
know. And I was like, yeah, I do. And it was at Morgan Park at the racetrack.
Yeah.
And I got on this thing, and that just changed mountain bike life forever.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
So
and I've ridden
good.
a few since then. Nothing will compare to that bike because it is the premium bike.
Yeah, it's like
But, yeah.
KX 200 mountain bikes.
That's right. It's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome things. And
Yeah.
same deal. If they weren't between 6 and 10 grand,
Yeah.
I'd have one in the shed for sure.
Yeah, but I think the next few years the price point will come down.
The battery packs will have to come down in price.
The battery packs will come down, and
Yep.
the weight of them, like once the majority of them
Yep.
get under 20 kilos, like
Yep.
real expensive ones are under that now, but
Yep.
that'll just make that handling so much different. But that will bring, like, mountain biking will see like a second phase of explosion, I reckon,
For sure.
when that happens, and it'll be great because then more effort will be put into trails and maintenance and building and places to ride and all that kind of stuff. So
between that and surfing are two major growing sports in the world.
Yeah.
Like it's the Olympic thing for surfing is going to be huge
Yeah.
for a big step.
Yep.
But mountain biking as well, they can't keep up. And
Yeah.
since COVID hit,
can't buy a
Mate,
bike anywhere.
you can't buy a bike. The workshops, like 99 bikes, you can't get your bike in there. booked out.
I booked my bike in for a service when Reef to Reef was still going ahead.
Yep.
I still haven't taken it in yet because
You can't get in.
my booking's not for another week.
Yeah. They're doing
The
like
event got cancelled like 2 weeks ago.
my physio that did worked on my shoulder when I crashed mountain biking.
Yeah.
Her husband is a mechanic and he's doing 12 to 15 hour days
Yeah.
just pumping out bikes.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Tell you what, it's going to be a wild second-hand market in about 6 months' time.
Well, that's going to be interesting. Hey, I'm sort of like, shall I
When
bother
everyone
getting my
gets
bike
over it.
service,
Yeah.
or shall I just wait for some of
Right.
these bargains that really pop up? Because
Yeah.
there will be a few. Because everyone's bought at a premium price too.
Yeah.
Because they want something. When something is in demand, you always pay more usually for
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some good ones around. So
Hopefully a lot of them hang on to them, stay true, keep riding.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's a good sport.
Yeah.
Well, mate, where can we see you on social media?
You can see me on my Instagram
Yep.
at Hugh Tane, Hughht.
What's Tane mean?
That's my middle name,
Oh, is it?
Tane. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've often wondered that.
So, yeah, you'll know mates from drifting because they call me Tano. And
Alright.
mates from non-drifting don't. So,
Mm.
yeah. It's funny
What
how
is
that
your
happens.
nickname?
To non-drifting mates,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's probably best.
Great guy. Legend.
We'll leave it at that.
Hilarious.
So
man.
we've got Hugh Tane for Instagram.
Yep, and then get
the
amongst
shops.
the Ellis feed and the Dust Hustle
Yep.
handles as well, and get amongst all that good stuff. Come down,
Awesome.
see us, come to an event.
Yeah.
blow
Support local
my
events.
doors off if you see me on the trails.
Support local events,
Support local events, local
shops,
brands.
local
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
thanks so much for coming out on a ride today too. That was awesome.
ride was great.
We got to see some different things.
Yeah.
Mr. Derailer, that was probably one of the
Mr.
funniest things.
Derailer. We
But,
didn't get to talk about how we're new members of the Wild Hogs, but we'll talk about that another day.
oh mate, actually, the thing is, we've gone for 2 hours and 46 minutes.
Yeah.
Can we do it another time?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because there's
Come
so
on.
much, more I want to talk about, and you've got two people that talk a damn lot.
Yeah.
We could go for hours, but
We'll just talk junk about something.
yeah, let's stop it now because it's probably Saturday night when we walk out of here.
Yeah, it's like when you go into the movies and you come out, it's
Yeah.
night time and you feel like your whole life's just disappeared.
Or the casino.
Or that. That's like, yeah, you can tell I'm not a gambler. I'm
Nah.
like, the movies.
I'm not a gambler either, but there's been a few Christmas parties that you rock up in the casino.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, I'm here. And the next thing it's 5 a.m. and you've got a kebab in your hand and you're
Yeah.
like, what do I do this for?
Where
and
am I?
I've
Yeah.
just destroyed the rest of my week.
That's right.
And that's Friday, and you've got to do the whole week after that. So
Yeah.
But anyway, mate, thank you
Savage.
so much for your
Thank you.
time.
This has been great.
And
If anyone gets this far, like, I owe you a beer if anyone makes it this far. and
there's a
hears
Dust
this.
Hustle poster coming.
Yeah, I'll give you something. Like, if there'll
be someone that'll write-
Fair few people that get this deep.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I reckon 10 minutes.
If that, you know what? If someone's rebuilding a Suzuki, they'll definitely get this far because these things all the time and often. So Suzuki owners will definitely get this far,
If
and then
there's
they'll
a-
hear me badmouthing their brand.
If there's an RM fan out there,
Oh.
or a JR80 fan,
Yeah, they'll probably listen to this 10 times over,
probably.
and each time they'll be cursing me at the end.
Travis Pastrana.
Yeah.
Who you listening? All right, mate. Thank
Thanks,
you so
mate.
much.
Cheers.
Have a good week.
You too.
Cheers.